Chapter 1273. Duanli's plan was well thought out and comprehensive. However, he missed out on one thing, which was the speed of the clones in the sky. Ordinary martial artists could not catch up to them. Even an 8th level honorable would not be able to catch up immediately. Soon news came back. "Young master, it's not good. They're too fast. We can't catch up." "Can't catch up?" Duanli and the other elders stood up. "We can't even catch up to an 8th level honorable?" "We can't catch up for now." Hearing this, Duanli's face darkened. "What's going on? Is it true? But what about the people around him? They might have stayed in Deity Sword Villa and did not leave." An elder guessed. "Impossible, I don't believe it." Duanli shook his head. However, the surrounding elders sighed. "I don't believe it either. However, it can't be a clone. Putting aside whether he can create a clone, his speed is not something an ordinary person can achieve. It was better to kill by mistake than to let someone go. Elder, it's up to you." Duanli turned around and said respectfully to a figure. That figure had been sitting cross-legged and did not care about the situation around him. Hearing Duanli's words, that person opened his eyes. Suddenly, a powerful aura spread out. In the next moment, that figure disappeared in a flash. Seeing this, Duanli sneered again. "Humph, I don't believe you can escape from a 9th level elder." 2 hours had passed, but there was still no news from that 9th level elder. This made Duanli and the others anxious. "Damn it, how is this possible? A 7th level brat can actually be so fast that even a 9th level honorable can't catch up to him?" Everyone was shocked and anxious. If that was really Lin Xian, the situation would be bad if he ran away. While they were waiting anxiously, a small array beside Duanli suddenly flashed and lit up. "There's news!" Seeing this, Duanli and the others were shocked. Then, they quickly activated the array. In the next moment, a voice came from the array. "Clone, it's fake." "Damn it, it's really a clone!" Duanli snorted coldly. "However, don't try to fool me with such a small trick. Everyone, listen up. Search with all your might. That brat definitely didn't run far." Immediately, everyone began to move. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others moved quickly. They knew that a doppelganger couldn't hide for long, but it would be extremely beneficial to them if they could buy a little more time. Sure enough, during this half a day, they were safe and sound. No one came to search for them. However, half a day later, many figures appeared in the surroundings. "It seems that the clone has been seen through." Lin Xian's expression was grave. "Young master, don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't let those people hurt you in the slightest," the 9th elder said in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded. He trusted the 9th elder's strength. After all, the 9th elder was a venerable of the 9th heaven. He was worried about Xinjingqiu and Yu Fei. Xinjingqiu had just broken through to the venerable realm, so it could be said that she did not have much combat strength now. "Qiu'er, follow me closely later. Don't be afraid," Lin Xian said softly. "Yes, I know. Big brother Lin Xian will protect me." Xinjingqiu nodded. Lin Xian rubbed her head, then looked at Yu Fei. "Follow me closely later. Don't attack." "Got it, big brother Xian." Yu Fei also nodded in agreement. "Let's go." In the next moment, a powerful light surged out of Lin Xian and the 9th elder's bodies. It enveloped Xinjingqiu and Yu Fei, and they flew quickly. The two of them were like lightning. They were extremely fast. However, there were more and more people around, so it didn't take long for Lin Xian and the others to discover them. "Over there, I found them!" a martial artist exclaimed. Immediately, the nearby martial artists all rushed toward Lin Xian and the others. There were even martial artists who shot out signal flares to summon them. "Humph!" the 9th elder snorted coldly. Immediately, a terrifying aura rose from his body. A force that could topple mountains and overturn seas pierced through heaven and earth. Immediately, the entire sky froze. Those martial artists, and the signal flares that flew into the sky were all crushed in an instant. This was the power of a 9th heaven venerable. In an instant, everyone was annihilated. After 30 minutes, the Duan clan and the Shin clan's main forces finally arrived. They sensed the smell of blood in the air, and their expressions changed instantly. "Oh no, looks like our people have been annihilated. That brat must have run in this direction." Immediately, these people sped up. Among them, there were 3 figures who were extremely fast. These 3 were the venerables of the 9th heaven. This time, in order to hunt down Lin Xian, the Shin clan and the Duan clan had sent out a total of 4 9th heaven venerables. Among them, one of them was chasing Lin Xian's doppelganger, and had not returned yet. Meanwhile, the remaining 3 were all here. At this moment, they exploded with their maximum speed. They were extremely fast. Behind these people were more than 28th heaven venerables, and dozens of 7th heaven venerables. These people were all using their full strength and flying rapidly. As for the martial artists below 7th heaven, Duanli did not let them go at all. Instead, he let them search quickly. This was because these people would be useless even if they went. They would not be of any use at all. After an hour of such a large-scale search, they finally saw the figures of Lin Xian and the others. Meanwhile, Lin Xian naturally just found out about the auras of Duanli and the others. However, very soon, his expression darkened. 3 9th heaven venerables! Lin Xian's expression darkened. He could feel 3 abnormally strong auras. Damn it, the Duan clan actually sent out 9th heaven venerables! And 3 at that! The 9th elder's expression changed drastically. 3 9th heaven venerables were extremely terrifying. He could not fight against them at all. Even if he could fight against 2 of them, there was still 1 9th heaven venerable left. There were dozens of 8th heaven venerables in the surroundings. When these people joined forces, they were an extremely strong force. Lin Xian probably could not fight against them at all. Lin Xian's expression was also dark. However, he was not anxious. 3 9th heaven venerables were not a dead end. 9th elder, it shouldn't be a problem for you to hold back 2 9th heaven venerables, right? Lin Xian asked. The 9th elder's expression was filled with shock. Young master, could it be that you want to fight against the remaining 9th heaven venerable? No, that's too dangerous. Because in his opinion, Lin Xian was only a 7th heaven venerable. No matter how strong he was, killing an 8th heaven venerable was already his limit. Against a 9th heaven venerable, it was absolutely impossible. Because a 9th heaven venerable was already the last heaven of the venerable realm. The gap between them was extremely huge. However, Lin Xian was relatively confident. Don't worry, I won't joke around with my life. If I use all my trump cards, even killing a 9th heaven venerable would not be a problem. Lin Xian indeed had such confidence. He had many trump cards in his hands. Moreover, he had recently made a breakthrough in Sword Dao, and his strength had increased greatly. Thus, he could still deal with a 9th heaven venerable. Of course, this was also thanks to his doppelganger that had lured away a 9th heaven venerable. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with 4 9th heaven venerables. However, the 9th elder was extremely shocked when he heard this. He had not expected Lin Xian to be so strong. Chapter 1274. Seeing that the people behind were getting closer and closer, 9th elder also nodded. That's good. Young master, you must protect yourself well. If you can't stop them, don't fight them head-on. The palace of gods of war can't do without you. Don't worry, Lin Xian said with a smile. At this moment, the people behind were still flying over quickly, surrounding Lin Xian and the others. The 3 9th heaven venerables were like 3 mountains, standing in front. More than 28th heaven venerables and dozens of 7th heaven venerables formed a thick encirclement. Ha ha! Lin Xian, I've finally caught you. Let's see how you die this time. An extremely arrogant voice traveled over. After this voice, Duanli, Xinhe, and Xinyuan quickly flew over. Among them, Duanli's face was filled with pride, while Xinhe and Xinhe's expressions were ferocious as they glared at Lin Xian. Brat, today is the day you die. I won't let you die so easily. I want you to know the consequences of offending us. Xinhe and Xinhe were like demons, their voices filled with boundless killing intent. Meanwhile, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The previous time was just a small punishment. I didn't think that you guys would still not repent. This time, you guys came to die on your own accord. Don't blame me. Die. Are you an idiot? There are so many people, do you think you can kill me? Xinhe's expression was ferocious. This time, we've sent out 9th Heaven Elders. Do you believe that they can crush you with one finger? At the side, Duanli also sneered. Lin Xian, stop struggling. If you want to die quickly, I advise you to kneel down obediently and kowtow 10,000 times to us. Then, hand over the secret recipe of the longevity pill. I can let you die quickly. Otherwise, you'll know the taste of hell. A group of people surrounded Lin Xian and laughed arrogantly. They didn't attack immediately. Instead, they teased him like a cat catching a mouse. You're too ignorant. Do you really think that 9th Heaven Venerables can save your lives? Lin Xian sneered as his gaze swept past Duanli, Xinhe, and Qingyuan. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, the three of them couldn't help but tremble. However, they soon began to laugh wildly. What an idiot. Do you really think you're invincible? Not even a 9th Heaven Venerable was worthy of his attention. Who do you think you are? You're just a 7th level Venerable. Xinhe cursed loudly, his expression agitated. However, in the next moment, he screamed, his eyes filled with fear. This was because a ball of black flames suddenly rose from his body and instantly enveloped his entire body. Damn it, scram! Xinhe was furious. He was an 8th level Venerable after all, so the power he could unleash was extremely terrifying. However, he could not extinguish the black flames at all. It was only at this moment that Xinhe was truly terrified. He quickly shouted, "Elder, save me!" Not only Xinhe, but everyone else was stunned. This was because they had not seen anyone make a move at all. Moreover, Xinhe had suddenly burst into flames just like that. This was really too strange. However, they also knew that it was most likely only Lin Xian and the others who had made a move. Thus, at this moment, most people glared fiercely at Lin Xian and the others, wanting to see through them. Meanwhile, the 9th Heaven Elder of the Shen family also attacked fiercely. Countless rays of light flew out from his palm and turned into water dragons that quickly pounced toward Xinhe, wanting to extinguish the black flames. However, before the water dragons reached him, Xinhe screamed tragically and was burned to ashes. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. Their expressions were filled with fear. This was too terrifying. An 8th level Venerable had been burned to ashes in an instant. Moreover, what shocked them even more was that they still couldn't see how the other party had made a move. For a moment, Duanli and Qingyuan both looked at Lin Xian with fear. Just now, they had mocked and ridiculed the other party with Xinhe. However, in the blink of an eye, Xinhe had died. The impact of this on them was really too great. When they thought of Lin Xian's previous words, they were filled with fear. Could it be that even a 9th level Venerable really couldn't protect them? The expressions of the 3 9th level Venerables present also darkened. In particular, the 2 9th level Venerables of the Shen family looked exceptionally furious. A young master of their family had been killed right in front of them. Moreover, the two of them didn't even have time to help. This was a slap to their faces. What made them even more shocked and furious was that they didn't even see who had made the move. However, based on their instincts, they knew that it should be that person called Lin Xian who had made the move. Don't hesitate anymore. Let's attack. We must kill them here today. The 3 9th level Venerables discussed with each other. Then, they quickly attacked. Among them, 2 9th level Venerables flew toward the 9th Elder. Meanwhile, the 9th level Venerable that had shot out the water dragons previously was staring at Lin Xian. Young master, be careful. The 9th Elder reminded. Then, he charged toward the 2 9th level Venerables and unleashed his powerful battle prowess. Lin Xian nodded slightly. His expression was extremely serious. After all, this was his first time exchanging blows with 9th level Venerables. In front, the water dragon Venerable stared at Lin Xian and the others. Then, he sneered and pressed out a finger. Suddenly, the finger became as big as a mountain. It descended from the void and enveloped Lin Xian, Xin Jingqiu, and Yu Fei. That terrifying power caused everyone's expression to change. This finger could definitely kill any 8th level Venerable easily. Yu Fei was extremely nervous. Beside him, Xin Jingqiu was also uneasy. She gripped the corner of her clothes tightly. Lin Xian also quickly attacked. He raised his hand and shot out 10,000 bee sting. The black Xiao Ding floated above Xin Jingqiu and Yu Fei. It emitted a black light that enveloped the two of them. On the other hand, Lin Xian let out a long roar. His entire body released violent lightning. Then, he threw a punch toward the sky. The lightning fist lit up the surroundings. It was extremely fierce and quickly blasted toward the finger that was like a heavenly pillar. Humph, you overestimate yourself. When Duanli and the others saw this, they sneered. The water dragon Venerable sneered in disdain. There was a difference of 2 levels between the two of them. How could Lin Xian block his attack? Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. The heavenly pillar-like finger stopped in midair. It couldn't continue descending because it was blocked by a lightning fist. This fist was naturally from Lin Xian. What? This is impossible! How could he block the attack of a 9th level Venerable? Everyone was going crazy. They couldn't believe it. The water dragon Venerable's pupils constricted. Then, his expression became ferocious. He sneered and increased the strength of his finger. Then, he pressed down again. Bam! 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 The air exploded. Terrifying energy spread in all directions. The lightning fist below also exploded completely. It turned into countless lightning dragons and quickly bombarded the finger, causing an extremely violent explosion. In the end, the heavenly pillar-like finger was blown to pieces. Lin Xian also took 5 steps back. How could this be? That guy is not injured. The Duan family and the Shen family went crazy. They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. Chapter 1275. That was a 9th heaven supremacy. Every one of them was a peerless powerhouse, while the other party was only a 7th heaven supremacy. There was a difference of 2 realms between them. However, they could not accept the fact that the battle had turned out like this. Lin Xian took 5 steps back and stabilized himself. Then, he laughed loudly. Is this the power of a 9th heaven? It's not that impressive. If you have any tricks up your sleeve, just use them. His battle intent was high, and he was like an unsheathed sword. On the other side, the 2 9th heaven supremacies who were fighting with the 9th elder were also shocked. They had not expected such a situation to happen. Kill him for me. Kill him! Duanli roared crazily. He had a bad feeling about this. Therefore, he ordered the 8th heaven supremacies around him to attack. He did not believe that they could not kill a 7th heaven supremacy with so many people. The water dragon supremacy was shocked. He was a 9th heaven supremacy, but he could not do anything to a 7th heaven brat. If news of this got out, he would lose face. Therefore, in the next moment, he charged toward Lin Xian like lightning. Behind him, there was an empty sea. 9 water dragons were formed in the sea, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Then, the 9 water dragons quickly soared into the sky and charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body flashed, and he instantly disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, the 9 water dragons soared and charged toward the void where he was standing. Instantly, the void exploded. Big brother Lin Xian, watch out. Xin Jingqiu, who was behind him, was shocked when she saw this. However, when she saw Lin Xian dodge, she sent another mouthful of water at him. Roar! The 9 water dragons roared and tore the sky apart. One of the water dragons waved its huge dragon tail and swept it toward Xin Jingqiu and Yu Fei. This attack was immensely powerful, like a heavenly blade. If they were hit, the 2 of them would probably die immediately. Clang! However, this terrifying attack collided with the black light screen. There was a deafening sound, but it did not break the light screen. The huge rebounding force even sent the dragon tail flying. What? It didn't break. This time, even the venerable water dragon was shocked. Originally, he wanted to kill Lin Xian's two companions to vent the hatred in his heart, but he didn't expect the black cauldron to be so powerful. The protection it formed was so strong that even his terrifying attack couldn't break through it. This kid was actually so strange. However, the venerable water dragon did not give up. He controlled 8 water dragons to besiege Lin Xian while the remaining water dragon bombarded the black light screen again. However, Lin Xian was not worried, because that was the 10,000 bee sting, a complete earth-tier treasure. It was not something that a 9th heaven venerable rank cultivator could blast open. Without any worries, Lin Xian pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back and charged at the 8 water dragons. He moved like a bolt of lightning and arrived in front of one of the water dragons in an instant. The Lone Star sword in his hand slashed down. The sword light flashed, creating an ear-piercing explosion in the void. The powerful force caused the entire void to tremble. With a slash of the sword, the water dragon let out a wail as its body split from the middle and fell to the sides. Plop! Its huge body smashed into the void, instantly stirring up countless violent winds. Meanwhile, Lin Xian's figure disappeared again, flying toward another water dragon. All of this happened in an instant, so when everyone reacted, they discovered that one of the water dragons had already disappeared into the void. This scene made Duanli and Xingyuan extremely nervous. They roared crazily and summoned many 8th heaven venerables to protect them. This was because they realized that they had really underestimated Lin Xian's battle prowess. He could even break through the attack of a 9th heaven venerable so easily. He was really too terrifying. The venerable water dragon roared angrily. He didn't expect the other party to break through one of his water dragons with just a move. Instantly, his expression became extremely gloomy. However, in the next moment, his pupils suddenly constricted, and he shouted, "You're courting death!" As he spoke, his body moved hundreds of feet horizontally. A huge void crack appeared where he was originally standing. That terrifying sword light made the venerable water dragon's eyelids twitch wildly. Damn it, really damn it! A mere 7th heaven venerable actually dared to attack him. However, what made him even more shocked was that the other party's battle prowess was really too strong. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed that a 7th heaven venerable could unleash a battle prowess that wasn't inferior to his. How would he know that Lin Xian possessed the great dragon sword soul and had recently comprehended the 3 sword scars of the Iron Sword Monarch? It could be said that his battle prowess was extremely powerful. Sword light flashed, and Lin Xian's figure appeared at the side. His expression was incredibly serious when he saw that his attack had missed. This was because he realized that the senses of a 9th heaven venerable tier cultivator were really too sharp. Furthermore, his speed was not inferior to his own. As expected of a true peerless powerhouse, he was indeed incomparably powerful. He was far from what an 8th heaven venerable could compare to. However, since the other party dared to kill him, there was only a path to death. Lin Xian held the Lone Star sword in his hand and shouted, "Stars!" Instantly, countless sword lights soared into the sky, turning into stars one after another that floated in the void. Then, they quickly blasted towards the venerable water dragon. Water dragon, monstrous water suppression. The venerable water dragon waved his hand, and immediately 8 water dragons circled around each other. The dragons opened their mouths and spat out endless seawater, forming a huge wave that blocked all the stars. Boom! 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 The waves collided with the stars, erupting with an unparalleled energy that caused the entire world to tremble. Luckily, he blocked it. In the distance, Duanli, Xingyuan, and the rest heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. They were afraid that the venerable water dragon wouldn't be able to block it. However, now it seemed that Lin Xian wasn't that heaven-defying. He could only contend with a 9th heaven venerable. He can't be so powerful. He must have consumed some elixir or used some secret technique to be able to contend with a 9th heaven venerable. The two of them didn't believe that this was Lin Xian's true battle prowess. At the side, Xingyuan also nodded desperately. Let's wait and see. As time passes, he will definitely lose. The two of them looked gloomy as they watched the situation in front of them nervously. However, their expressions changed drastically, and their eyes were filled with fear. This was because they realized that Lin Xian was flying towards them. Damn it, stop him. Go, don't let him come over. Duanli and Xingyuan both shouted crazily, their expressions extremely nervous. The two of them were clear that Lin Xian was now comparable to a ninth heaven venerable. He wasn't someone they could fight against. Instantly, the surrounding eighth heaven venerables received the order and quickly charged towards Lin Xian. They naturally knew how powerful Lin Xian was, so they wouldn't engage in close combat with him. Instead, they opened up a distance and used their advantage in numbers to suppress him. Fire Phoenix facing the sky. Lightning Snake Fist. Sky-piercing strike. In an instant, dozens of eighth heaven venerables unleashed fierce attacks, and countless energy blasted forward rapidly. Dozens of eighth heaven venerables attacked, and the momentum was even more terrifying than a ninth heaven venerable. In an instant, the entire void was flooded by energy waves. Chapter 1276. Pft. A sword light slashed the huge flaming phoenix apart, and a figure appeared in front of everyone. What? He's fine! Everyone was stunned. They saw Lin Xian walk out of the endless sea of energy fire without any injuries on his body, and their scalps went numb. In the distance, the venerable water dragon was also furious. He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. With a long roar, his entire body was like a blue bolt of lightning as he charged over at high speed. However, Lin Xian was faster than him. Using the illusory demon steps, a pair of wind and thunder wings appeared on his back. Lin Xian turned into a bolt of wind and thunder. He was extremely fast. He clenched his fists, and the power of thunder and fire surged, forming a sword of ice and thunder and a sword of flame. Wherever he passed, thunder and lightning spread, and a sea of fire surged. The terrifying sword sliced through all the attacks. In an instant, he arrived beside Duanli and Xingyuan. Immediately, Duanli and Xingyuan's scalps went numb. They were so scared that they almost peed their pants. Brat, I want you dead! Xingyuan counterattacked crazily. He pounced at Lin Xian like a wild beast. Duanli was more sinister. He detonated a half-Earth rank treasure and flew into the distance to seek protection. Lin Xian flew quickly and dodged the explosion of the half-Earth rank treasure. Xingyuan was not so lucky. Half of his body was smashed, and he was only left with half a life. The 8th level venerables who came to help were also sent flying by the energy wave of the explosion. They could not get close at all. The venerable water dragon roared ferociously. He did not expect that in such a short period of time, one of the two young masters of the Shen family was dead and the other was crippled. This made him unable to explain himself when he returned. With a roar, he quickly pounced at Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian did not intend to let Xingyuan go. After dodging the explosion, he quickly waved his sword. Meteor slash! A sword light flashed past like a meteor. It was extremely dazzling and quickly slashed through Xingyuan's body. Blood spurted and a head flew. Xingyuan's corpse quickly fell and smashed into the ground from the void. No! Seeing this scene, the venerable water dragon roared madly, but it couldn't change anything. Brat, I'm going to tear you to pieces! The venerable water dragon roared. Together with the 8 water dragons, he launched a crazy attack. However, Lin Xian dodged all of them. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their scalps went numb, and they did not dare to resist. Duanli's face was also filled with fear. He had almost died at the other party's hands, but fortunately he had escaped. Elder, save me! Duanli flew towards the Duan clan's 9th heaven elder. Lin Xian looked at the fleeing figure. He snorted coldly. A black flame flashed in his eyes. Black flame martial spirit, devouring spirit! Within Lin Xian's eyes, two balls of black flames quickly surged out. In the next moment, the fleeing Duanli let out a frantic scream. Countless black flames surged out from his body and quickly burned. Impossible, I won't die. How could I possibly die? Duanli cried out madly, his eyes filled with terror and unwillingness. He had clearly escaped, but why was he still burning? He did not know that the black flames were Lin Xian's black flame martial spirit, and it was the origin source flame of the heavenly netherbird. It was extremely mysterious, and it was not something that an eighth heaven honorable could resist. In endless unwillingness and regret, Duanli was burned to ashes. In the end, nothing was left. When the crowd saw this scene, they all felt a chill in their hearts. Was the young man in front of them a human or a ghost? He was so terrifying. Not only could he resist a ninth heaven honorable, but he could also kill an eighth heaven honorable with a raise of his hand. This was really too terrifying. In an instant, everyone had the urge to escape. However, how could Lin Xian let them go? He quickly shuttled through the crowd like a wolf in a flock of sheep. Every time he attacked, someone would die. Behind him, the venerable water dragon was extremely frantic. He realized that he could not catch up to Lin Xian at all. All of you, come over. Finally, he roared and gathered the remaining martial artists to gather around him. This was because only by his side could they survive. The others had no way of surviving against Lin Xian. Instantly, those martial artists rushed towards the venerable water dragon as if they had gone crazy. You're too naive. I've said that ninth heaven honorables can't protect you at all. Lin Xian's red lotus armor quickly surged out of his body. Then, he flew towards the venerable water dragon. Seeing this, the venerable water dragon was overjoyed. He did not expect Lin Xian to actually dare to walk right into his trap. Previously, he could not catch up to Lin Xian and could not use his full strength at all. However, now, he did not have any scruples. This was because those eighth heaven honorables were already under his protection. As long as Lin Xian dared to look for him, he was absolutely confident that he could kill him. Indeed, Lin Xian was charging towards him. Water Dragon Bullet. In the next moment, the venerable water dragon waved his fist and threw out a punch. Countless light balls the size of houses condensed and filled the entire void. They flew towards Lin Xian quickly. Sky Rock Seal, Golden Sword. Lin Xian formed a seal with his fingers and a sky rock flew out from between his fingers. Instantly, it filled the entire void. Its huge body emitted countless rays of light and formed 108,000 golden swords that pierced forward. In an instant, those blue light balls were all pierced through by the golden swords. Not only that, the sky rock's huge sharp claws grabbed the water dragons in the air as if it was going to crush them. 8 dragons soaring to the sky. The venerable water dragon retreated and quickly dodged the attack of the sharp claws. Then, he commanded the 8 water dragons to pounce on the huge sky rock. The 8 water dragons were like 8 heavenly swords. They were extremely blue and released the power of the sect. In an instant, the sky rock was sent flying. Sky Rock slays the dragon. On the other side, Lin Xian circulated his powerful spiritual energy and poured it into the Sky Rock's shadow in the sky. Suddenly, the golden Sky Rock roared and released a powerful force. Its wings were like heavenly swords. It opened and closed wide and instantly cut 2 water dragons in half. It waved its golden claws and crushed a water dragon under its feet. In an instant, only 5 of the 8 water dragons were left. However, the 5 water dragons devoured the corpses of the other 3 water dragons and became even larger. Each of them bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they rushed over quickly. The dragon claws waved and directly grabbed the sky rock's body, tearing a huge crack. The other water dragons circled as if they wanted to strangle the entire sky. In the distance, the venerable water dragon snorted and commanded the 5 water dragons to completely cover the sky rock's body. Kid, compared to me, you're still too inexperienced. Lin Xian snorted. It's too early for you to say that. Sky rock transformation fuse! With an angry roar, the huge sky rock in the sky once again released countless rays of light and blasted the 5 dragons away. Then, it circled down and quickly rushed to Lin Xian's arm and completely fused with Lin Xian's right arm. "Let me show you what a real dragon slayer is!" The golden sky rock circling above Lin Xian's arm looked extremely terrifying. In the next moment, he soared into the sky and charged at the venerable water dragon. Chapter 1277. You're courting death. I'll kill you too! The venerable water dragon roared. 5 dragons sealing the sky, attack! In the sky, 5 water dragons circled around each other, forming a giant dragon diagram that pressed down on Lin Xian. The terrifying pressure caused the entire sky to darken. Lin Xian, on the other hand, brandished his arms. His palms were like the heavenly rock, extremely ferocious. He reached out his palm and grabbed one of the water dragons. Then, he pulled hard and the water dragon broke into 2. Not only that, Lin Xian let out a long howl and threw a punch at the 5 dragons diagram. Instantly, a hole was punched in the blue dragon diagram. Fortunately, the water dragons were formed by spiritual power. Otherwise, the punch would definitely cause the sky to be dyed red with blood. Even so, the scene was extremely terrifying. A giant hole suddenly appeared in the dark sky, looking extremely ferocious. When the venerable water dragon saw this, his face turned extremely ugly. However, it was not over yet. Lin Xian's right hand was the heavenly rock divine fist, while his left hand surged with a dazzling sword sheath like a golden divine sword. With a slash of his sword, the terrifying sword sheath violently slashed the 5 dragon picture, immediately cutting it in half. The 5 dragons were all cut apart, wailing as they turned into spirit chi. From the beginning until now, the venerable water dragon had been suppressed, which made it difficult for him to be confident. Now that Lin Xian had slashed the 5 dragons diagram, the venerable water dragon was even more shocked. Not only that, but the 2 ninth heaven supremacies who were fighting with the 9th elder in the distance were also shocked. They realized that a 9th heaven supremacy could not suppress Lin Xian at all. This was completely different from what they had expected. Previously, they thought that Lin Xian was only a 7th heaven supremacy and that any 9th heaven supremacy could kill him. However, it seemed that this was not the case at all. Lin Xian's strength was completely beyond their imagination. Even the venerable water dragon was suppressed. Although the venerable water dragon was only a venerable in the early stage of the 9th heaven, not everyone could suppress him, let alone a 7th heaven warrior. However, at this moment, a long howl came from afar. Terrifying energy surged over like a mountain torrent. What? Another 9th level venerable? The 9th elder's expression was ugly, and Lin Xian also frowned. However, the venerable water dragon and the others were indeed ecstatic. They even let out ecstatic cries. Ha ha ha, the heavens are really helping me. Brat, let's see how you die this time. The venerable water dragon laughed sinisterly. He had been too aggrieved before. Now, the 2 ninth heaven venerables could definitely kill the other party. Humph! Lin Xian humphed coldly. He could also sense the urgency of the situation, so he planned to use his ultimate technique to cripple a 9th heaven venerable tier first. Bending his finger, Lin Xian aimed at the venerable water dragon and growled. Void-shattering finger! A ray of finger radiance shot towards the venerable water dragon at lightning speed. The venerable water dragon's eyelids twitched wildly. He didn't see the attack, but his instincts as a cultivator made him feel danger. Therefore, he subconsciously moved out horizontally. Pooh! A ray of finger radiance shot out like a dragon and hit his left arm, instantly creating a transparent hole. The venerable water dragon was in pain, and his expression was extremely ugly. This was because the finger had almost pierced his heart. If he hadn't taken a step back previously, he would probably be dead now. Damn brat, he actually has such a terrifying martial technique! The venerable water dragon's face darkened. He swore that he would definitely kill the other party. Lin Xian also sighed. As expected of a 9th level venerable. He could even dodge this. He didn't attack again because the 9th level venerable in the distance had already arrived. Whoosh! A figure descended. This was a middle-aged cultivator. His expression was cold, and his aura was icy cold. Duaneo, your family's Duanli has already been killed by this brat, the venerable water dragon said. Boom! Hearing this, the venerable called Duaneo's face darkened, and his aura suddenly exploded. What did you say? Duaneo's voice was a little ferocious. Soon, the venerable water dragon recounted what had happened. After knowing the truth, Duaneo's face was extremely gloomy. He stared at Lin Xian. Brat, go to hell! Duaneo's arm shook, and a purple spear appeared in the void. Then, the spear vibrated and charged towards Lin Xian. Boom! The spear radiance was like a dragon and as thick as a mountain, piercing towards Lin Xian. On the other hand, Lin Xian stretched out his heavenly rock palm and grabbed in front of him. This scene was extremely shocking. A 7th level martial artist had actually grabbed the attack of a 9th level venerable with his bare hands. This was too unbelievable. Duaneo hadn't been there before, so he didn't know about Lin Xian's battle. When he saw this scene, he immediately sneered. You overestimate yourself! However, he soon frowned because he realized that his spear had been grabbed by the other party. But how was this possible? He was a 9th level venerable. Just the pressure of this spear alone could kill a 7th level venerable. But now, the other party had actually grabbed his spear. Diasterskamenit, what's going on? Duaneo's face was extremely ugly. The venerable water dragon's face was also ugly. I forgot to tell you that this brat has the battle power of a 9th level. What? How is this possible? Duaneo was shocked. He really couldn't believe that a 7th level venerable had the battle power of a 9th level venerable. However, he soon believed it. On the opposite side, Lin Xian grabbed the purple spear with one hand. Then, with a roar, he shook his arm and immediately lifted the spear. On the other side, Duaneo was also mentioned. This? Duaneo was about to go crazy. He felt as if he was dreaming and couldn't believe it at all. Boom! In the next moment, he was thrown out by Lin Xian. It wasn't until he hit the ground that he came to his senses. Everything was real. This is even worse. It's not even as good as the previous one. Lin Xian shook his head. Brat, you! Die! Duaneo stood up from the ground with a murderous aura. Previously, he was only shocked, so he didn't fight back. Otherwise, how could he lose to a brat? With a roar, Duaneo held his spear again and charged forward. Clang! Clang! The spear shadows filled the sky, but they were all blocked by Lin Xian's sword. The more Duaneo fought, the more frightened he became. At this moment, the venerable water dragon also rushed over from behind. He couldn't wait any longer. He had to kill this brat. Brother Lin Xian! Brother Xian! Seeing this, Shinjinqiu and Yufei at the back were worried. The two of them were protected by the 10,000 bee sting and were very safe. However, Lin Xian was in danger now. Young master! In the distance, the 9th elder was also anxious and wanted to rush over. Hee, where are you going? Your opponent is us! The two 9th level venerables sneered. Although the two of them were only in the early stage of the 9th heaven, the two of them together were enough to stall the 9th elder, who was in the middle stage of the 9th heaven. Lin Xian was indeed at a disadvantage against the two of them. Not only that, but he was also in a dangerous situation. Fortunately, he had the Red Lotus armor. Otherwise, he would have been seriously injured. Clang! 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 Countless attacks landed on the Red Lotus armor, making earth-shattering sounds. Lin Xian's body kept retreating. Ha, brat, you're dead! No matter how strong you are, you're no match for the two of us! The venerable water dragon and Duaneo sneered and looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a dead man. Chapter 1278. Ha, kid, you're dead meat! No matter how strong you are, you're no match for the two of us! The venerable water dragon and Duan Ao sneered as they looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a dead man. The two venerables' auras were powerful enough to crush everything. Hence, they didn't care about Lin Xian at all. Lin Xian roared as he felt the terrifying aura. His black hair fluttered, and he was like a god of war, unstoppable. In the next instant, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated rapidly and let out a ferocious dragon roar. A green jade-like dragon-shaped sword chi appeared in front of him. Once the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, it exploded with a terrifying aura. The entire space was sliced into dozens of pieces. The eighth heaven venerables in the distance were trembling, and many of them fell from the sky. Duan Ao and the venerable water dragon's expressions also changed because the aftershock hit them and made a thunderous sound. This was too shocking. That was just the aftershock, and it already had such a terrifying aura. The defensive energy shields on their bodies were cut open. D***, what is this thing? Their expressions were very ugly. As ninth heaven venerables, they were far superior to eighth heaven venerables in terms of strength, speed, and defense. In other words, cultivators below ninth heaven venerables couldn't break their defense at all. However, a seventh heaven venerables had just used the sword's shadow, and the aftershock had cut open their defense. This was like a myth. D***, this kid is too strange. Kill him quickly! We can't let him attack. Duan Ao and the venerable water dragon were shocked. They quickly attacked, not giving Lin Xian any chance. The two of them were like lightning, releasing powerful auras. They even used their martial souls to attack Lin Xian. 1 second. They only needed 1 second to kill the other party. However, Lin Xian was faster than them. In an instant, Lin Xian grabbed the dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him and quickly swung it. Suddenly, a dragon-shaped sword she slashed out quickly, and the entire space became distorted. This sword caused the entire sky to change color. All the eighth heaven venerables trembled, unable to resist. Even the ninth heaven venerate's body stiffened. Duan Ao and the venerable water dragon were the first to bear the brunt. The spiritual power in their bodies was almost condensed, and they could not resist this aura at all. No! The two of them were terrified. They knew that it was impossible for them to block this sword chi with their own strength, so they decided to flee. However, they had underestimated the dragon-shaped sword chi. Just as they thought of running away, the sword chi had already slashed down in front of them. Puff! 2 blood-curdling screams rang out as blood splattered everywhere. A 1,000-meter-long crack appeared in the void. Among them, Duan Ao had one of his arms chopped off, and the venerable water dragon was even more unlucky. He was directly split in half and couldn't be more dead. A single sword strike had killed one 9th level venerable and injured the other. This was really too shocking. The world was silent. Everyone's minds were blank. They didn't dare to imagine. After an unknown period of time, a martial artist screamed, "Run!" Instantly, those 8th level venerables all fled in all directions. As for the family mission, they could go to hell. Duan Ao's face was also filled with fear. He was covered in cold sweat as he clutched the wound on his broken arm. He found it hard to imagine that a 7th level martial artist could actually unleash such a terrifying sword strike. He had almost lost his life. Run! Now, he didn't dare to fight at all. He only had one thought in his mind, and that was to leave this place quickly. Of course, that was what he did. Duan Ao's body swayed, and he used all his strength to transform into a ray of blood light and quickly fled into the distance. Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. However, he had just unleashed the dragon sword soul and used up a lot of energy. Now, his face was pale, and his spiritual power was not flowing smoothly. However, he still unleashed his black flame martial soul. In his eyes, 2 black flames spun strangely and flew forward quickly. In the next moment, Duan Ao, who was running away, screamed. However, he was a 9th level venerable after all. He didn't die immediately, and the black flames didn't extinguish. In an instant, Duan Ao's body was burning, and he was anxious as he quickly fled into the sky. In the end, all the martial artists on Lin Xian's side fled. Only the two 9th level venerables who were fighting with 9th elder were left. Lin Xian's face was pale. He took a deep breath and turned around to stare at them. Suddenly, their eyelids twitched, and they felt extremely uneasy. They didn't feel this way even when facing the powerful 9th elder. Go quickly! The two of them didn't dare to stay at all and quickly rushed into the sky. They had no choice. The two of them had seen the scene of the venerable water dragon being killed. It was like cutting tofu, and 9th level venerables couldn't resist at all. The two of them weren't much stronger than the venerable water dragon, so they didn't have any confidence that they could resist this sword strike. The best way now was naturally to escape. Seeing the two 9th level venerables escape, 9th elder heaved a sigh of relief. However, he then looked at Lin Xian in shock. Young master, no need to ask. That's my sword soul. Lin Xian only mentioned it and didn't go into detail. However, the 9th elder's heart was filled with shock. Sword soul, young master's sword soul is actually so powerful. He's only at the 7th level of the martial heaven. He couldn't help but be shocked. A martial artist's martial soul was usually related to their cultivation. He had never heard of a 7th level venerable's martial soul being so powerful that even a 9th level venerable couldn't resist it. However, he finally saw it today. Lin Xian took out a few pills to recover his spiritual power and quickly consumed them. Then, he waved his hand and recalled the 10,000 bee sting. Brother Lin Xian! Brother Xian, are you okay? Xin Jingqiu and Yu Fei quickly flew over. They were both very worried. I'm fine. I'm not injured. I just used up a lot of energy, Lin Xian said. Let's hurry up and leave. The Duan family probably won't only send these people. It'll be difficult if more experts come. Although he had the great dragon sword soul, he could only fight against two 9th level venerables. He couldn't do anything more. The three of them nodded and didn't say anything else. They soared into the sky and quickly left this place. Lin Xian's guess was right. The Duan family didn't just send these 50% people. When they found out that Lin Xian had the longevity pill, they sent out an extremely powerful team. There were more than 10 9th level venerables and even one peak 9th level venerable. Such a team was very terrifying. It could be said that no one below the king level could fight against them. However, the palace of Ares and Senmu College weren't to be trifled with. They sent out cultivators of a certain level to stop the Duan family. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't encounter too many obstacles on the rest of his journey. Finally, he returned to Senmu College without any mishap. When they arrived at Senmu College, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. This half a month's journey was really too exciting. Every day, they were tense, afraid that someone would kill them. Chapter 1279. But fortunately, they left safely. After returning to Senmu College, Lin Xian arranged for everyone to rest. He also quickly slept, then immediately got up to study the 3 sword scars left by the Iron Sword King. His current strength was strong enough to fight against 2 9th level venerables, but in his opinion, it was still not enough. Because the Duan family was too strong, an existence equivalent to the House of Kings. Facing such an enemy, he could not relax at all. Therefore, he had to increase his strength as much as possible. After 2 days, Lin Xian adjusted his condition to the peak, then went into seclusion to comprehend the 3 sword scars. At this moment, there were still 7 days before the auction began. He had to fully comprehend the 3 sword scars in these 7 days. Time flowed, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of the auction. The day before, Lin Xian came out of seclusion, and the aura on his body was unusually sharp. In the past few days he had relied on his strong comprehension ability to forcefully comprehend the 3 sword scars left by the Iron Sword King. Now, his strength had increased again, and the great dragon sword spirit had also been awakened. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Xian brought Xin Jingqiu and the others to the Immortal Martial Auction. The Immortal Martial Auction was unusually busy. During this time, it was managed by the 10th elder, Wang Li, and the other disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion. Brother Li, can we succeed in this auction? Yeah, do the 2 items that Brother Xian took out really have such heaven-defying effects? Many disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were nervous because the effects of the Buren old-time tea and the longevity pill were too heaven-defying. Until now, they felt like they were dreaming. Don't worry, when has Brother Xian ever made a mistake? Since he took out these 2 items, they must have the legendary effects. Wang Li encouraged many disciples, but to be honest, he did not have much confidence in his heart. Because all the information he knew was from rumors, and he had never seen the real Buren old-time tea and the longevity pill. The only thing he could do now was to prepare everything for the auction. Half a day later, Lin Xian brought Shinjingqiu and the others to the Immortal Martial auction. Brother Xian! Wang Li and the others looked excited. Lin Xian looked at these people and nodded with a smile. All of you have worked hard. When the auction is over, I will give everyone double the amount of elixir resources. Thank you, Brother Xian. The group of Dragon Sword Pavilion disciples cheered. They normally enjoyed more resources than the other powers, and now that Lin Xian was giving them double the amount, how could they not be happy? Looking at the excited crowd, Lin Xian was also in a good mood, so he quickly walked into the auction house. Young master, you're here. As soon as they entered the auction hall, the 10th elder hurried over. I heard that those people from the Duan clan made a move midway. Young master, are you injured? It's fine, those guys can't hurt me. How are your preparations? Lin Xian asked. Everything is ready. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded, then instructed again. The standards of our auction this time are very high, so we have to screen the people who come to the auction. There are 2 main bases for my judgment. First, only core elders or sect leaders of 6th rank sects and above can enter. Second, if your personal wealth reaches 10 billion spiritual stones, you can also enter. These 2 conditions were too shocking. One had to know that no auction had set such rules before. However, this auction was different. Whether it was old-time tea or the longevity elixir, they were all heaven-defying divine items. Ordinary warriors didn't have the wealth to buy them, and only the top warriors could afford them. That was why Lin Xian had set such a standard. Moreover, the main purpose of this auction was to rope in these top powers, so that both sides could cooperate. Setting a threshold was right, eliminating unnecessary trouble, and making the entire auction safer. It could be said that it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Oh right, have the invitations been sent out? They've been sent out, Wang Li quickly said. Very good, when those people with invitations come, you must invite them to the VIP room. Also, don't let anyone from the Duan clan in. If you find them, break their legs and throw them out. Yes, Brother Xian. After giving these instructions, Lin Xian took Shinjingqiu to the back to rest. However, not long after, Wang Li ran over to report. Brother Xian, Blue Eyes City's Shinlingchuan, the head of the Shin family, is here. Oh, they're here so early. Take me to them quickly. Lin Xian stood up. Beside him, Shinjingqiu also cheered. Daddy is here. Lin Xian and Shinjingqiu walked outside and quickly saw Shinlingchuan and his wife, as well as Shinxiachi. Dad, Mom. Shinjingqiu cheered and ran over. Qiu'er. Sister. The family was reunited. Lin Xian also laughed and said, Uncle Shin, Auntie Shin, why are you here so early? I had no choice. Your old-time tea is too magical, and recently there was news about the longevity elixir, so I had to come early. Oh right, is the news about the longevity elixir true? Can it really defy the heavens and seize life? It's basically true. As for the details, you'll know when you meet the Sword Venerable. Lin Xian knew that these big shots didn't dare to believe it at the moment. However, when the Sword Venerable arrived, everyone would believe it. All right, then I'll wait for your good news. Shinlingchuan smiled and said, Uncle Shin, this way please. I've already prepared a room for you. Qiu'er, you can accompany your parents. Lin Xian let Wang Li bring Shinlingchuan and his family into VIP room number 1. After Shenling Chuan arrived, the martial artists from the other big powers also arrived. Suddenly, the entire Windy City was filled with all kinds of ancient beasts, spiritual boats, and war chariots. These weren't ordinary beasts or war chariots, but extremely precious treasures. Usually, one wouldn't be able to see them. But now, they saw all kinds of rare beasts and ancient war chariots. Perhaps only the immortal martial auction could create such a grand scene. Big shots arrived one after another, and it was unusually lively. Wang Li and the rest were about to go crazy. Although these big shots had restrained their auras, they were still very terrifying. They received them carefully, afraid of angering them. However, Wang Li and the rest soon knew what it meant to be powerful. Their confidence also increased by a lot. At first, someone was making a scene. It was a ninth heaven venerable. He wasn't from any big power, but a lone cultivator. Moreover, he had a bad reputation and belonged to the demonic sect. That person was called Monk Shui. He was bald, but his aura was vigorous. He carried a white bone club on his back, and his murderous aura was soaring. Just because a disciple of the Dragon Sword Pavilion was a little slow in receiving him, he got angry and injured the disciple. Humph, what a mortal martial auction! If you anger your grandfather, I'll tear this place down. Monk Shui was used to being arrogant. In addition, his murderous aura was soaring, and he killed people like they were weak. He had a strong murderous aura, so no one took him seriously. Chapter 1280. Although Wang Li and the rest were enraged, the difference in cultivation was too great. They were no match for the 9 honorables. Hence, the atmosphere was awkward. The eyes of the experts from the major forces flickered. No one dared to make a move because this was a matter of the celestial martial auction. If the other party couldn't even handle this, there was no need for the old-time tea and longevity pills to be auctioned. Seeing that no one dared to step forward, Monk Blood became even more arrogant. Hurry up and tell that Lin Xian to come out. Tell him to give me 100 servings of old-time tea and longevity pills and I'll let you go. You're courting death. The disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were furious when they heard that. Some of them even wanted to rush forward. However, they were all stopped by Wang Li and Dong Fangxiong. Don't be rash. The other party is a peerless expert. If you rush forward, you'll only be courting death. You might even become a joke. Go, inform the 9th and 10th elders. The disciples nodded and quickly retreated. You want to leave? Where are you going? Stay here for me. Monk Blood laughed sinisterly. He then stretched out a huge palm and grabbed in front of him. Suddenly, the terrifying palm was like a mountain, covering everyone. Wang Li and the rest changed their expressions. Many of them even felt their scalps go numb. This aura was not something they could withstand. Just as they were about to be smashed into a bloody mist, a ray of sword radiance flew out from the auction house. The sword radiance was like a rainbow. It flew out from the auction house quickly and slashed the huge palm. Suddenly, the huge palm was cut in half like it was tofu. Ah! Monk Blood screamed and quickly retracted his hand. His eyes were filled with horror and viciousness. He did not expect someone to be able to cut his hand in half. However, this was not the end. After the sword radiance cut his hand, it flew towards him quickly. Damn it, get lost! Monk Blood was furious. He waved his arm and 18 palm shadows flew out. They connected together and blasted forward quickly, trying to destroy the sword radiance. Poof! Poof! However, it was all in vain. The sword radiance was very sharp. It pierced through the 18 palm shadows and cut off Monk Blood's head. His head fell to the ground, and his eyes were filled with terror. Even until his death, he did not believe that someone could kill him with a single move. The surrounding crowd was also in an uproar. Wang Li and the other disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were completely stupefied. The experts of the major powers also had grave expressions on their faces. That was a 9th heaven venerable Tyr, an existence that was as powerful as them. However, he had actually been killed by a single sword strike from someone else. This was really shocking. Who is it that possesses such terrifying strength? At that moment, everyone's eyes were on the auction. Humph, if you dare to behave atrociously at the auction, only death awaits you. An old voice rang out with a sharp aura. Following which, the void flickered, and a figure appeared before everyone. Sword Venerable! Seeing that figure, everyone was shocked because they realized that the figure was the Sword Sovereign whose name shook the entire continent. No wonder this was the case. Most likely, only Ching Ching would be able to kill a Ninth Heaven Venerable with a single sword strike. It was rumored that the Sword Venerable did not have much lifespan left. He only had 1 month left. But now, it seemed that the other party was full of vitality, and didn't look like he was dying at all. It seemed that the rumor of the longevity pill was true. Everyone was excited. They realized that the longevity pill was really too miraculous. Among them, many elders who didn't have much lifespan clenched their fists. This time, no matter what price they had to pay, they had to obtain the longevity pill. With the Sword Venerable's appearance, the others naturally didn't dare to act rashly. Even the Ninth Heaven Venerables became cautious. Wang Li and the others gathered their men and quickly carried Shui Shang's corpse away. They also cleared the path. Soon, the bloodstains on the ground were washed clean. Only a faint smell of blood remained in the air. Seeing that no one dared to act rashly, Wang Li and the others heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they straightened their backs. This was because no one dared to act rashly in front of the auction. Things went very smoothly. Lin Xian also nodded slightly about Shui Shang's matter. Now there were some things that didn't require him to do to deter those with bad intentions. It seemed that the effects of the longevity pill were better than expected. Brother Xian. Yu Fei walked over quickly. What? What's the matter? The Duan clan is here. Yu Fei's expression was a little heavy. Those people are really shameless. They chased after us previously, and now they dare to come out. How despicable! With our relationship, I don't think the other party will send anyone important. They must have sent some small fries to investigate the situation. Don't bother. Just break their legs and throw them out. Don't worry, Brother Xian. I know what to do. At the thought of throwing the Duan clan out, Yu Fei was excited. You rascal! I haven't seen you for a few days, and you've become more impressive? In the VIP room, Murong Qingqing was wearing a long dress. She rolled her eyes at Lin Xian. It's fine if it's the others, but this Duan clan must be dealt with harshly. This is just the beginning. I will let them know the consequences of plotting against the Palace of Gods of War. Lin Xian's eyes flashed coldly, but it quickly disappeared. Here, I just brewed the immortal tea. Try it. Lin Xian poured a cup of spiritual tea and pushed it in front of Murong Qingqing. Although she did not drink it, the fragrance of the tea filled the entire room. Just as Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing were drinking tea, another group of people appeared at the entrance of the auction house. It was a young man in his 20s named Duan Feng. He was also a young master of the Duan clan. However, compared to Duan Li from before, his status and strength were far inferior. Even so, he was still very arrogant. His entire nose was pointed to the sky. Behind him were two old men whose auras were around the 8th firmament of the supremacy realm. Although Duan Feng was arrogant, he did not dare to cause trouble openly. He just swaggered towards the auction house with his people. However, he was soon stopped. How dare you stop me? Are you courting death? Do you know who I am? Duan Feng's face was gloomy. This was because the moment he was stopped, he sensed countless gazes sweeping over him from all directions. Many of them had mocking expressions on their faces. That was because this auction house was not a place that anyone could enter casually. There were two prerequisites: either one had a status, or one had money. Those who were stopped were all people who wanted to take advantage of the situation. Everyone naturally despised such people. Now that Duan Feng was stopped, he attracted countless mocking gazes. Damn it! Are you blind? Don't you know who I am? How dare you stop me? Duan Feng was furious. I'm a member of the Duan clan. You dog, how dare you stop me? Are you tired of living? However, the Dragon Sword Pavilion disciple's attitude was unusually firm. The Duan clan is not on our list. You'd better leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. What? Hearing that, Duan Feng's face darkened. The two elders behind him were also unusually angry. Chapter 1281. You're courting death. You're really courting death. You're even threatening our Duan family? I'll teach you a lesson today, you ignorant fool! Duan Feng snorted and was about to attack. At that moment, a cold shout was heard. Stop! What's going on? How dare you cause trouble in front of the auction? Do you want your legs broken and thrown out? A young man could not do it. Brother Fei! The Dragon Sword Pavilion disciple shouted when he saw the young man. The young man was Yu Fei. He heard the commotion outside and walked out. Duan Feng glanced at him and said coldly, You're the one in charge? Seeing Yu Fei nod, he continued, Who did you find? You don't even know our Duan family. How despicable! If you know what's good for you, get him to kneel down and apologize. I'll cripple one of his hands and let this matter pass. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude today. This Duan Feng was obviously here to cause trouble. After Yu Fei heard that, he smiled and said, Oh, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Be good and blame us for being negligent. Hearing that, the surrounding people were stunned. When did Lin Xian become so polite? Weren't they sworn enemies? Not to mention the surrounding warriors, even Duan Feng was puzzled. He knew the relationship between the two families. It was already good enough that the other party did not attack him directly after he caused trouble. However, he did not expect the other party's attitude to be so good. At least you have some knowledge. Hurry up and get him to kneel down and apologize. Duan Feng's nose was in the air and he was very arrogant. However, Yu Fei ignored him. Instead, he turned around and took out a sign from his storage ring. Sorry, it's our negligence. I asked them to hang this sign up yesterday. Who knew that they would forget? However, it's not too late to hang it up now, Yu Fei said with a smile. Then, he hung the sign on the wall. Everyone was curious and looked over. Then, they all burst out laughing. Because there was a line of words written on it, Duan family and dogs are not allowed to enter. Seeing these words, the surrounding warriors laughed so hard that they almost choked. Duan Feng took a look and almost fainted from anger. The two elders behind him were also trembling with anger. Humiliation. This was a blatant humiliation. This was no longer a slap in the face, but a kick in the face. What kind of status did the Duan clan have? How dignified were they to be humiliated in such a manner? Thinking of this, the three of them trembled in anger. You dare to insult my Duan clan? You're dead meat! Duan Feng and the other two looked ferocious. However, Yu Fei stopped smiling and said coldly, Break their legs and throw them out. You're courting death. How dare you touch me? Duan Feng went mad. However, Lin Xian had already made arrangements. So, as soon as he finished speaking, an expert came out and instantly broke the three people's legs. Then they threw them out like dead dogs. Of course, this was just a small interlude. Everyone just laughed, and no one paid attention to it. The moment the auction house was fully seated, the doors of the auction house closed. Without any external light, the entire hall suddenly darkened, but soon, it lit up again. Because on the ceiling, countless fist-sized pearls were flashing like stars. For a moment, the lighting in the hall was just right. Moreover, a ball of gentle light lit up on the auction stage in front of them. Then, an old figure walked over quickly. It was the 10th elder, who was hosting the auction. He first greeted everyone to liven up the atmosphere, then went straight to the main topic. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two items in this auction. They are the old-time tea and the longevity elixir. Now, let's begin the auction of the old-time tea. As he spoke, the 10th elder flipped his palm, and 30 emerald green leaves appeared on the auction stage. Each leaf was stored in a high-quality jade box. There were a total of 30 leaves neatly arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, these are 30 leaves of the old-time tea. There are 5 leaves in a group, and they will be auctioned 6 times. In other words, you only have 6 chances to get the precious old-time tea. As for when the next auction will be, I don't know. So, please cherish this opportunity. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire hall boiled over. They did not expect there to be so little old-time tea. There were only 30 leaves in total. It was not enough to drink at all. Originally, they wanted to use it as a regular spiritual tea to improve their physique and prolong their aging. But now it seemed that it was impossible. It seemed that it could only be used as a rare elixir to repair very serious injuries. However, no matter what, no one wanted to miss out on the old-time tea. The auction now began. The starting price was 1 million spiritual stones, and each increase must be no less than 100,000. 1 million spiritual stones was not a lot, but this was only the starting price. No one cared about it, because everyone knew that the final price was far more than that. So, even if the starting price was 1 spiritual stone, these people would not be surprised. Sure enough, as soon as the 10th elder finished speaking, someone bid 10 million. In an instant, someone bid 10 times higher than the starting price. But no one cared. The old-time tea was worth more than that. Sure enough, the next price rose steadily. 30 million! 50 million! 100 million! The price rose rapidly, and the atmosphere of the auction gradually surged to a peak. 2 billion! A voice came from the VIP room. The bidder was naturally Shinling Chuan, who was in VIP room number 1. These big shots dealt with each other all year round, so when the voice came out, they all knew it was Shinling Chuan. Shinling Chuan's strength and status were extremely powerful. Moreover, the news of the old-time tea was first spread by the Shin family. So when he bid, everyone gave him face. In the end, the first old-time tea was sold for 2 billion. After getting 5 jade-like leaves, Shinling Chuan breathed a sigh of relief. He was different from those people. He directly felt the magical effects of the old-time tea, so he was naturally at ease with this old-time tea. Of course, the result was also very good. He got the first one. He did not participate in the next auction, but the powerhouses of the big forces began to fight. The second one was sold for 5 billion. The later it was, the more expensive it was. When the last group was sold, even the 10th elder sucked in a breath of cold air. Because the final price was 11 billion. This kind of final price was really too outrageous. One must know that a half-Earth level treasure was only about 1 billion. And these 5 leaves could buy 10 half-Earth level treasures. It had to be said that it was really too precious. When all the old-time teas were sold, the 10th elder did not continue. Instead, he let everyone rest for a while and also left the auction stage. Next were some singing and dancing performances, and all kinds of spiritual tea, spiritual wine, and snacks began to be provided in the hall. Everyone ate a little and then rested for a while. Even though it had only been a short period of time, the price war seemed to have made them experience a huge battle. However, they did not dare to really relax. Everyone's hearts were tense because they knew that the next auction was more important. Chapter 1282. Even though it had only been a short period of time, the price war seemed to have made them experience a huge battle. However, they didn't dare to truly relax. Everyone's hearts were tense because they knew that the next auction was more important. Because there was something more precious than old-time tea. That was the longevity elixir. If old-time tea was a treasure that was collected by those big shots in case of emergency, then the longevity elixir was something that every martial artist longed for. Because it could prolong life. Not just 1 or 2 years, but 30 years. For those dying old people, 1 or 2 days was already a luxury, let alone 30 years. Therefore, they would do anything to get the longevity elixir. After half an hour, the 10th elder walked onto the stage again. Everyone's hearts were in their throats because they knew that the second auction was about to begin. As expected, the 10th elder was as decisive as ever. He announced the second auction as soon as he stepped onto the stage. The second auction item is called the longevity elixir. I'm sure everyone has heard of its effects. That's right. It can prolong one's life by 30 years. Everyone knows that life, old age, sickness, and death is an irreversible law. However, the longevity elixir is so heaven-defying that it can take one's life and prolong one's life by 30 years. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how precious it is. Seeing everyone's fervent gazes, the 10th elder smiled and said again, "This time, there are 4 longevity elixirs in total." "What? 4? Why are there only 4? Yeah, that's too little." Hearing the 10th elder's words, everyone was stunned. They thought that there should be at least 10 longevity elixirs. Who would have thought that there would only be 4 longevity elixirs? 4 longevity elixirs was too little. How many powerhouses and high-ranking officials were there? The total was a terrifying number. 4 longevity elixirs were not enough at all. Seeing the dissatisfaction of those people, the 10th elder took a deep breath. Of course, he knew that 4 longevity elixirs were very little. However, this was Lin Xian's idea. Lin Xian naturally had his reasons for doing so. The rarer something was, the more valuable it was. The longevity pills were precious to begin with. If such a treasure appeared in large quantities, it would give people the impression that it was worthless. Lin Xian wouldn't do that. He wouldn't let a large number of longevity pills appear in front of everyone. Therefore, he only took out 4 pills for the countless experts to fight over. Only the treasures that one had obtained after expending countless amounts of wealth would be cherished. It would also better reflect the value of the longevity pill. Therefore, even if the powerhouses below complained, Lin Xian's decision would not change. The 10th elder had received Lin Xian's reminder, so he took a deep breath and said loudly, "Now, the first longevity pill will be auctioned. The starting price is 10 million, and each increment must be at least 1 million. Hearing the 10th elder's voice, the experts' faces turned ugly. However, they had no choice but to participate in the auction. At the very least, they had to obtain a longevity pill first. The rest could be discussed later. The longevity elixir was much more precious than the old-time tea. Therefore, the price of the longevity elixir skyrocketed from the beginning. Soon, it broke through the 1 billion mark. 5 billion. 8 billion. 10 billion. Last time, the last set of old-time tea was auctioned off for 11 billion, but now, the first longevity elixir had broken through that price. No wonder Lin Xian had set a threshold for the auction. For this kind of auction, those with less than 10 billion should not even think about it. 15 billion! Villa Master Xia of the Xinjiang Villa bid. 17 billion! This was the Grand Elder of the Divine Bird Palace. Although they had a good relationship with the Duan family, Lin Xian did not attack them this time. Therefore, he could participate in the auction now. 18 billion! The Heavenly Fire sect was also a top 6th rank sect. The bidder was an old man with long hair and a beard. His whole body was covered in flames, forming a flame robe that draped over his body. 20 billion! At this time, Shen Lingchuan from VIP Room 1 spoke again. Haha, this old man also wants to play. 23 billion! This time, the bidder was an old man. He had a head full of white hair, but his face was as delicate as a baby's. Although his eyes had seen the vicissitudes of life, they were very lively, like an old urchin. This was the master of the Merry Woods. You guy, aren't you practicing the heavenly immortality technique? Why are you still here competing for the longevity elixir? The elder of the Murong family also spoke. 21 billion! Hearing this astronomical price, Wang Li and the other disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were shocked. Even Lin Xian's eyelids were twitching. More than 20 billion, this was a huge amount of wealth. However, he also knew that the further one went, the weaker the effect of spirit stones. At least, some of the extinct treasures could not be bought with spirit stones. For example, if he did not take out the longevity elixir for auction, these people would not be able to buy it even if they had countless spirit stones. Murong Qingqing gritted his teeth. You guy, can't you give me a longevity elixir for free? Give it to you? What do you want it for? You're so young and beautiful. Lin Xian laughed. Humph. Murong Qingqing snorted, then said, Of course I'm not using it for myself. It's not that I can't give it to the Murong family. Lin Xian tapped his finger on the table, then looked at Murong Qingqing and said, But don't you want to do something? Something? What do I want to do? Murong Qingqing tilted her head, puzzled. For example, you can help me warm the windows. Go to hell, you bastard, you're too despicable. Murong Qingqing's face suddenly turned red. Lin Xian continued to laugh. What, are you shy? Since you're going to marry into my family sooner or later, why don't you do it now? I can give your family a few longevity elixirs. Hearing this, Murong Qingqing's face turned even redder. She scolded in a low voice. Go to hell, I hate you the most. Sigh, if that's the case, what a pity. Lin Xian sighed heavily, but his eyes were full of smiles. Then, he picked up the immortal tea, took a sip, and looked down again. The bidding in the hall became more and more intense. In the end, the first longevity elixir was bought by the Murong family at a price of 30 billion. Suddenly, the other house of kings and rank 6 sects all sighed. Other than the Duan family, the other house of kings were all present. However, not many people from the palace of Ares came. Because of Lin Xian, they did not need to bid. If there was a need, Lin Xian could provide it for free. As for Senma College, Lin Xian also gave one to Dean Xian. Therefore, the main competitors for the House of Kings were the Murong family, the Shen family, and Mary Woods. As expected, the second longevity elixir was bought by Mary Woods at a price of 40 billion. The third longevity elixir was bought by the Shen family at a price of 53 billion. Everyone, this is the last longevity elixir, and there will be no more longevity elixirs in the future. What? No more longevity elixirs in the future? Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. Chapter 1283. Everyone, this is the last longevity pill. There won't be any more longevity pills in the future. What? There won't be any more longevity pills in the future? Everyone exclaimed in shock. Many people even went crazy and kept fiddling with their hair. Previously, they couldn't bear to bid and wanted to wait until the next auction. Who would have thought that it would be a peerless longevity pill? The longevity pill would only be auctioned once and would never be auctioned again. Why is this happening? No way! Can't we buy it even if we have money in the future? The crowd went crazy. Seeing the crowd's dissatisfaction, the 10th elder hurriedly explained. Everyone, the longevity pill is heaven-defying. I'm sure everyone knows that it requires extremely precious herbs. To tell everyone the truth, these herbs are all extinct. The young master obtained some in the hidden sky secret realm. That's how the longevity pill came about. However, these pills are limited and have been around for a long time. Once used, there's no replacement. That's why the longevity pill is limited. The more you use, the less you have. Hearing this, the crowd was disappointed. That's right, the longevity pill was a peerless longevity pill. Furthermore, the herbs used to make it were not found in the Tianwu continent. Even if they were anxious, there was nothing they could do. No, even if I have to risk my life, I have to get the last longevity pill. If I miss this chance, I'm afraid I won't have another chance in the future. The older generation went crazy. They didn't hesitate to take out all their wealth to exchange for a longevity pill. Soon, the price rose from 10 billion to 30 billion. It didn't slow down and soon broke through the 500 billion mark. The third auction was 50 billion. However, this time, the price didn't stop there. Instead, it rose rapidly. 60 billion! Suddenly, a low voice came from the main hall. The voice wasn't loud, but it was extremely clear. Not only that, the older generation and the experts of the various large families trembled when they heard the voice. Shock appeared in their eyes. Everyone's expression changed drastically when they heard the voice. Even the peerless experts of the large factions narrowed their eyes. That was because the power of the voice had surpassed that of a ninth heaven's supremacy. Of course, he hadn't become a true king, but he wasn't someone these people could fight against. A half-step king! Everyone's hearts trembled. They didn't expect such a person to appear in the auction. Lin Xian raised an eyebrow when he learned of the situation. A half-step king was an extremely terrifying existence. Even Sword Saint at his peak was only at this level. Who would have thought that it would appear again today? Inside the palace, many people extended their souls to search for that half-step king. Humph! A cold snort caused everyone's mind to tremble. They hurriedly withdrew their soul power and didn't dare to casually probe. This was naturally a warning from that half-step king. As an existence that surpassed the supreme experts, he possessed a supreme might. How could he allow others to casually probe him? Fortunately, the other party only gave them a warning and did not attack them. Otherwise, many of the people present would not have suffered heavy injuries to their souls. It was even possible for them to become idiots. Who is he? If he's not from the House of Kings, could he be a rogue cultivator? That shouldn't be the case. We all know about half-step kings, but the other party's aura is extremely unfamiliar. Clearly, he's someone we haven't investigated before. On the Sky Martial continent, kings and half-step kings were extremely powerful existences. Therefore, these people all knew about them. Even if there were some hidden kings that didn't appear in public, these big powers still knew about them. However, this person in front of them was not in their information. Although the other party's origin was strange, his strength was a genuine half-step king. Therefore, once this kind of expert spoke, no one dared to raise the price. Of course, the House of Kings were an exception, because their families also had half-step kings. Moreover, not only did they have half-step kings, they also had supreme kings. They were the pinnacle of the continent. Therefore, they weren't afraid of that mysterious half-step king. 63 billion! The Murong family's elder bid again. 65 billion! The Shen family's elder bid. 68 billion! The Merrywoods people bid. That mysterious half-step king snorted coldly. 75 billion! The sudden increase of almost 10 billion made the House of Kings elders suck in a breath of cold air. Although the longevity pill was good, this kind of price was too outrageous. Moreover, looking at the other party's appearance, it seemed like he was determined to get it. Therefore, the three House of Kings stopped bidding one after another. In the end, the fourth longevity pill was won by the mysterious half-step king at the price of 75 billion. This time, all the items in the auction were sold out. The House of Kings who got the longevity pill all let out a sigh of relief. Moreover, the warriors who didn't get it were incomparably envious. In the VIP room, Lin Xian drank the last mouthful of old-time tea and stood up. It's my turn now. He didn't plan this auction purely to sell items. He also wanted to rope in these big powers. Therefore, at the last moment, he still needed to make an appearance. The hall was extremely lively. Everyone was about to leave when they saw a figure appear on the auction stage again. Seeing that figure, everyone sat down again because they realized that the figure was Lin Xian. They knew Lin Xian's identity very well. Not only was he the owner of the auction, but he also provided old-time tea and the longevity pill. Therefore, Lin Xian's appearance made these people very confused, but at the same time, they had unlimited hope. Is there a change in the situation? Some people were excited, especially those who didn't get old-time tea and the longevity pill. Young Master Lin, are you really not going to sell the longevity pill in the future? If you're not selling the longevity pill, then what about old-time tea? There should be more of that, right? A group of people asked one after another. The hall was very noisy. Lin Xian said loudly, "Everyone, please calm down. I'm here to talk to you about this." Hearing this, everyone quieted down and pricked up their ears to listen carefully. I have old-time tea and longevity pills, but there really aren't many. What? You have both? Then why not put them up for auction? Everyone was first shocked, then dissatisfied. Why should I put them up for auction? Lin Xian asked calmly. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They opened their mouths but couldn't say the reason. That's right. Why should he put them up for auction? These things belong to him. He can do whatever he wants. To tell you the truth, I still have some old-time tea. But there really aren't many longevity pills left. All the longevity pills I have can be counted on one hand. Young Master Lin, if you have any ideas, just say it, an elder of the Heavenly Fire sect said. Chapter 1284. Young Master Lin, just say what you have in mind, an elder from the Heavenly Fire sect said. Hearing that, the others nodded. Indeed, if Lin Xian did not want to sell it to them, they could have just kept it to themselves. But now, he said it but did not want to auction it. This meant that there must be other ways to obtain it. As expected of someone from a large faction, he was smart. Lin Xian was secretly delighted and said again, there are indeed other ways to obtain it. From today onwards I will establish a Class 1 hall. In Class 1 hall, we will provide old-time tea. Hearing that, everyone's eyes lit up. Judging from his words, he should have a lot of old-time tea. How can we enter Class 1 hall? Many people were tempted because long-term consumption of old-time tea could slow down aging. It's very simple. Become an ally of the Palace of Gods of War, and you can enter Class 1 hall. Class 1 hall not only has old-time tea, but also other rare spiritual wine and spiritual tea. I guarantee that they are all of the best quality, but they are all clearly priced. Lin Xian's meaning was obvious. If they wanted to buy old-time tea, they had to enter Class 1 hall first. Otherwise, no matter how rich they were, they would not have the right to buy it. As for the meaning of being an ally, they all understood. Now, Lin Xian and the Duan family were fighting fiercely, fighting for the leadership of the Palace of Gods of War. In the past, the Duan family was powerful and was about to take control of the Palace of Gods of War. But ever since Lin Xian appeared, he turned the situation around in an extremely short period of time. Now, it seemed that Lin Xian was going to counterattack. If you want to join Class 1 hall, you need to prove your allegiance. I'm sure all of you are aware of this, Lin Xian said slowly. Indeed, he would not let anyone who wanted to fish in troubled waters enter Class 1 hall. Hearing that, the large families fell silent and stopped thinking about this matter. Lin Xian was not in a hurry. Instead, he smiled faintly. Of course, I will give everyone some time to consider this matter. I believe that after you have drunk old-time tea, you will know what to do. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that he was very confident in old-time tea. However, they had only heard of the legend of old-time tea and had never really tasted it. It seemed that he could only ask those who had taken photos of old-time tea later. Young Master Lin, where are the longevity pills? Does Class 1 hall have it as well? Finally, someone asked the most important question. When these words came out, everyone was extremely shocked. Lin Xian explained, I'm sure everyone knows how precious the longevity pill is. To tell you the truth, I only have 5 left. Among these 5 pills, 3 of them extend one's lifespan by 30 years, and 2 of them extend one's lifespan by 50 years. What? 50 years? Many people's eyes turned red when they heard this. Who would have thought that Lin Xian actually had a pill that could increase one's lifespan by 50 years? Young Master Lin, what are your conditions? Don't keep us in suspense. Some of the more impatient elders couldn't wait any longer. Killed 3 core elders of the Duan clan, 1 longevity pill. Killed Prince Ling Feng, 1 longevity pill. Killed Wu Zun, 1 50-year-old longevity pill. Killed the head of the Duan clan, 1 50-year-old longevity pill. Lin Xian's voice echoed throughout the hall. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't think that Lin Xian's conditions were to assassinate the higher-ups of the Duan clan and the head of the Duan clan. This was too shocking. One had to know that the Duan clan was extremely powerful, equivalent to the House of Kings. The head of the Duan clan was the deputy palace master of the Palace of Ares, and his son, Wu Zun, was a peak venerable. Prince Ling Feng was also the representative of the younger generation of the mainland, but Lin Xian wanted to assassinate them at this moment. This was too crazy. There were 5 longevity pills in total, first come, first served. If you were late, you would get nothing, Lin Xian reminded them again. However, everyone's mouth twitched. To be honest, they were really hesitant. Although the longevity pill was good, the Duan clan was also extremely terrifying. Once the assassination failed, the Duan clan would definitely retaliate crazily. Therefore, no one dared to make a decision at this moment. However, at this moment, the mysterious half-step king asked, "Are you telling the truth?" "Of course. If you can bring their bodies back, the longevity pill is yours," Lin Xian said. "No way, is that mysterious half-step king going to attack the Duan clan? This is earth-shattering news." When the news of the longevity pill spread to those hidden families, someone might make a move again. "Yeah, the Duan clan is in danger this time. This Lin Xian is too powerful. He actually used such a method to mobilize the heroes of the world." Everyone was extremely shocked. In the following days, this news was like a storm, instantly spreading throughout the entire Tianwu continent. For a moment, everyone was talking about this matter. When the Duan clan found out about this, they were enraged. Damn it! Damn it! Prince Ling Feng shouted in anger like an angry lion, scaring the people around him into kneeling on the ground. They had never seen Prince Ling Feng so furious. In their memories, Prince Ling Feng was always like an iceberg-killing god, controlling everything. However, the other party was now exposed. It could not be helped. It was because of Ling Xian's kill order. They also had an assassin organization, and it was the top assassin organization in the Blood Realm. However, compared to the other party, their assassin organization was extremely weak. Because the other party's reward was too terrifying. It was the longevity pill. It was a divine medicine that could be auctioned for 80 billion. It was a heaven-defying treasure. Everyone was tempted by such a thing. Although it was difficult for some large factions to make a decision in a short period of time, it was hard to guarantee that no one would not secretly make a move. For a moment, the entire Duan clan was facing a great enemy. Not only that, some of the Duan clan's resources, mines, and shops were all affected. Because they wanted to join the elite hall. They had to show their loyalty. Since the Duan clan was on guard and could not kill, they could only start with resources. Therefore, within a day, the Duan clan's businesses were severely affected. On the other hand, Lin Xian's side of the Palace of Ares was rapidly expanding. This change was like a violent storm, swift and decisive. In a short period of time, the entire situation changed drastically. Lin Xian looked at the news in his hand and nodded continuously. The effects of the old-time tea and the longevity pill were indeed amazing. Just the elite hall alone had attracted many sixth-rank sections. There were also some sects that had previously relied on the Duan clan, but now they had turned against them and joined them. The House of Kings had not joined yet, but their attitude had changed. Many of the sects that had cooperated with the Duan clan had withdrawn. It would not be long before the Duan clan was hit hard again. Lin Xian knew that the Duan clan would be able to take it. Chapter 1285. The House of Kings had not joined in yet, but their attitude had changed. Many of those who had worked with the Duan family had withdrawn. It would not be long before the Duan family was hit hard again. Lin Xian knew that the Duan family would not be able to take it for a while. He handed over the matters here to the ninth elder and the rest, while he returned to the Immortal Martial Academy. Firstly, he wanted to give Shinjingqiu more than one illusory array to get rid of her inner demons. Secondly, he wanted to forge the Red Lotus armor. In the remote sky secret realm, he had obtained many treasures. Besides precious spiritual herbs and spiritual medicines, he had also obtained many materials for forging weapons. Now, he had enough materials to forge an armor. Therefore, he wanted to forge it so that he could protect himself even if the Duan family retaliated. 3 days later, Lin Xian brought Shinjingqiu back to Senma College. He did not return to the freshman area. Instead, he asked Dean Xian to find him a safe and secluded place. Very quickly, he found a mountain peak. It was located in the core area of the college and was very safe. Furthermore, the spiritual qi was abundant and the environment was friendly. It was very suitable for cultivation. After settling down, Lin Xian started to set up an array. His array skills were very frightening now. Even the array masters in the House of Kings might not be as good as him. Therefore, setting up an illusory array was nothing to him. However, in order to achieve the best effect, Lin Xian spent 120% of his energy and 1 day to set up an illusory array. Qiu'er, it's up to you now. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Xinjingqiu nodded. Don't worry, brother Lin Xian. I can do it. She was also very serious. She knew that this was very important to her. Xinjingqiu took a deep breath and quickly walked into the illusory array. Lin Xian's original plan was to stay here for 2 days to check on Xinjingqiu's condition. If there was no danger, he would forge the Red Lotus armor. However, this situation changed after 1 day. The Crimson Dragon flew out of the demonic beast's pouch. Kid, Benwang is awake. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a look of surprise on his face. Could it be that your recovery failed? How could he fail? Is Benwang that bad? That's not right. If you succeed, shouldn't you be shouting in the sky? Why are you so honest now? You didn't even celebrate your breakthrough? Bah! Is Benwang so shallow that he has to make a fuss just because he has recovered his strength? The Crimson Dragon blushed, but fortunately, his whole body was red, so no one could see the awkwardness. Kid, you've been with me for so long. You don't understand Benwang at all. You've only recovered to the 9th heavenly layer. What's there to be happy about? Although it was humble and said that it was unhappy, its tail was already wagging. Lin Xian rolled his eyes. All right, we'll celebrate when you return to the challenger level. I have a task for you. Help me look after the illusion array. What are you going to do? The Crimson Dragon asked. Then, he glanced at the array in front of him and exclaimed softly. Oh, this array's engraving is not bad. Kid, you've improved? Lin Xian was also a little proud. Then, he said, I'm going to refine the Red Lotus armor. The person inside is my friend. Look after her. Don't let anything happen to her. After that, Lin Xian left. The Crimson Dragon looked inside and saw a hazy figure. It's a little beauty. This kid is good. He's quite fast. He actually found another beauty. How shameful, how depraved. The Crimson Dragon muttered. Then, he brought out the snow-white monkey. The two of them hugged spiritual fruits and spiritual wine and ate to their heart's content. On the other side, Lin Xian was in seclusion to refine the Red Lotus armor. With a wave of his hand, the 10,000 bee sting appeared. At the same time, countless materials floated in the air. These materials were very precious. Each of them could make the experts of the Tianwu continent go crazy. Many of them were even materials for refining Earth-rank artifacts. Fortunately, Lin Xian had the blueprint. Moreover, his soul power was strong. That was why he could inscribe the inscriptions on the blueprint bit by bit. Otherwise, he would not be able to refine the armor. While Lin Xian was refining the armor, the outside world was not peaceful. Under the great temptation of the longevity pill, someone finally made a move. The star mineral vein. There was a huge mineral vein here. Inside it was the precious metal star steel. This mineral vein was the property of the Duan family. The star pills dug out here could be used to make weapons and armor. It could be said that they were very important. Moreover, in addition to the special situation, the defense here was even tighter than before. Not only that, there was a core elder of the Duan family overseeing it. This elder was a 9th heaven venerable expert. He was not an early 9th heaven venerable. Instead, he was a mid-9th heaven venerable expert. His strength was equivalent to the 9th elder. With such a powerful person overseeing it, the Duan family was very assured. The night was slightly cold. The entire mineral vein did not stop working. Sonorous knocking sounds could be heard. Some key places were even heavily guarded by patrolling guards. However, in the dark night, a few figures floated over quickly like ghosts. These 5 people were very fast and did not reveal any auras. Therefore, even though the patrolling guards were very vigilant, they did not notice them. These 5 people were of all shapes and sizes. One of them was a fatty. When he passed by a group of guards, he sneered and a ball of dark green mist surged out of his palm. Next, the green mist waved and instantly enveloped a team of 10 people. Woo woo! Immediately, those warriors did not even have time to scream before their bodies turned into a pool of pus. The 5 of them did not stop. Wherever they passed, the teams that they encountered all disappeared silently. Soon, they arrived in front of a palace. The 5 of them looked at each other, took out their knives, forks, and sticks, and quickly rushed forward. Boom! The auras of the 5 people erupted. It was very terrifying. They connected together and cooperated with the terrifying attacks. They quickly blasted forward. Immediately, the majestic palace collapsed with a bang. Boulders flew everywhere, and the ground caved in. Everything within a 10-mile radius collapsed. Some of the warriors who were close did not have time to escape at all and turned into a bloody mist in the attack. For a moment, the entire mining area was alarmed. Countless warriors and guards gathered here. In the ruins in front of them, an angry roar also sounded. "You're courting death!" This voice was like thunder. It exploded with a bang, forming a violent air blade that blew away all the surrounding ruins. An old figure stood on the ground. The old man was dressed in a dark green robe that was incomparably resplendent. However, at this moment, his face was abnormally cold. A terrifying gaze burst out from his ancient eyes. It was like a fiend god's spear that pierced through the void. "How dare you cause trouble in the Duan family's mining area? You're courting death. Since you're here, you can stay here today." Chapter 1286. In the distance, there were countless martial artists frantically gathering over, surrounding the area so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The 5 black-clothed men sneered, and one of them, a tall man, shouted coldly and attacked. Immediately, the 5 of them attacked the core elder in front of them. The great battle erupted, and it was abnormally intense. The core elder of the Duan family was full of confidence. But very quickly, he let out a cry of surprise. "All of you are actually 9th-level supremacies!" He was too shocked. He did not expect that the 5 people who killed him were actually all 9th-level supremacies. Although they were only at the initial 9th level, their strength was still very terrifying. Under normal circumstances, a middle 9th-level martial artist could contend against 3 initial stage supremacies, at most 4. If there were 5, they could not contend at all and could only retreat. Now, the Duan family's elder was facing such a situation. "Old man, today is the day you die!" The 5 of them roared, erupting with energy that could tear heaven and earth. After a great battle, the Duan family's core elder went all out, but he still could not escape, and finally lost his life here. Seeing the strongest core elder being killed, the surrounding martial artists were all scared out of their wits, and fled one after another. Similar things were playing out in many places of the Duan family. Of course, some succeeded, and some failed. But no matter what, the Duan family suffered a heavy blow, and even a few core elders were killed. For a time, it set off a huge uproar in the entire Tianwu continent. The Duan family was incomparably furious, and fought back with all their might, but there were too many assassins, and they were very scattered, so they achieved little effect. In the end, the Duan family had no choice but to recall all the important elders and martial artists. However, they did not sit still and wait for death, but quickly sought an alliance, preparing to counterattack again. For a time, there were also many forces that joined. In a blink of an eye, a month passed. The situation in Tianwu continent became more and more tense, while Lin Xian's side was rather quiet. With the help of the illusory array, Shin Jingqiu finally overcame her heart demon, and awakened the bloodline power again. And on Lin Xian's side, he also successfully refined an armor. That armor was bright red all over, emitting light, and engraved on it, it was very complicated and profound. Lin Xian tested it out, and found that this armor alone could block 70% of the attacks. In other words, if a ninth heaven venerate attacked him, the armor would be able to block 70% of the attack. As for the remaining 30%, he could rely on his powerful body and defense to block it. It had to be said that this was a good way to save one's life. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Xian called Yu Fei over to ask about the situation outside. After learning about Chang Kuang of the Duan clan, he nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. In a month's time, a few core elders of the Duan clan were killed. However, these people were killed by different forces. Therefore, no faction had been able to gather the heads of 3 core elders, and no one had been able to exchange them for the longevity pill. However, Lin Xian was in no hurry. It had only been a month. As time passed, someone would definitely succeed in a sneak attack. "Where's the 9th elder?" Lin Xian asked. 9th elder returned to the War God Palace. "I heard that he has something important to do," Yu Fei said. "Return to the Palace of Ares? Forget it. Let me know when he comes back. Also, continue to monitor the Duan clan's actions. If there's anything unusual, report to me immediately." After arranging the following matters, Lin Xian accompanied Xinjingqiu to cultivate in Senma College. Xinjingqiu had recovered her bloodline power, and her cultivation had also improved rapidly. Now, she had already reached the 4th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Lin Xian felt that the outside world was too chaotic, so he decided to let Xinjingqiu cultivate in Senma College. After all, it was very safe here, and the outside world could not attack. Moreover, there were many people of the same age here, so they could communicate with each other. Xinjingqiu happily agreed to this suggestion. In the next few days, Lin Xian continued to cultivate. Of course, the most important thing was still to cultivate Firmament 9 and Void Shattering Finger. Now, he could already condense 2 Void Shattering Fingers, and he could also use 3 seals with Firmament Change. Not only that, but his cultivation had also been increasing. Now, he would soon reach the peak of 70% Venerable Realm. Lin Xian's side was going smoothly, but the Duan clan's side was not having a good time. They were completely targeted, and now they did not even dare to go out. Regarding this situation, the Duan clan's patriarch and Marshal Venerable could still keep calm and cultivate silently. However, Prince Ling Feng could not bear it at all. He was young and arrogant, and he did not take anyone seriously. Now, he was suppressed by a kid in the 7th heaven of the Venerable Realm, and this was a great humiliation to him. Therefore, he decided to fight back fiercely. "Where is that kid now?" Prince Ling Feng asked. "Young master, that kid is now in Senma College. We can't enter at all." "Damn it, he hid very well, but does he think he's safe?" Prince Ling Feng's expression was cold. "How many people can we mobilize? Our Duan clan's people are completely targeted, especially those core elders. I'm afraid they will be assassinated as soon as they go out. Moreover, I think Lin Xian's side is definitely watching us, so we can't mobilize the forces of our Duan clan," the subordinate said. "In that case, only the subordinate clans and Skynet are left. Inform the assassins of the 8 great clans and Skynet to gather. Tell them that there's a mission for them," Prince Ling Feng said solemnly. "Yes." The subordinate's expression turned cold. Prince Ling Feng said solemnly, "Since that kid is hiding in Tianwu Academy, we'll lure him out." "Young master, you mean, it's simple. Arrange 3 fake assassinations and spread the news that our 3 core elders have been killed. After which, arrange for our men to bring the fake heads to exchange for longevity pills." "Young master, do you want the longevity pills? But the other party will definitely check it." "Fool! I don't want the longevity pills. Can't you think of a way to lure that kid out and check the goods elsewhere? When he falls into our trap, I'll be the one to decide whether he lives or dies. Young master is wise. If that kid falls into our trap, he'll be dead for sure. Remember, send more 9th level martial saints. 8th level martial saints should be the elites. It's best if they can use combined formations. This time, we must succeed. Yes. The subordinate agreed and quickly left. Seeing his subordinates leave, Prince Ling Feng revealed a cruel smile. No one can make me suffer. Lin Xian, you're the first, but you'll have to pay a painful price. Following this, Prince Ling Feng's plan quickly unfolded. Very soon, the news of the Duan clan's core elder being assassinated spread. There were even many martial artists who saw it with their own eyes. For a time, all kinds of rumors were flying everywhere. Chapter 1287. Following that, Prince Ling Feng's plan quickly unfolded. Soon, the news of the Duan family's core elders being assassinated spread. Many cultivators even saw it with their own eyes. For a time, all kinds of rumors spread everywhere. Not long after, another 2 core elders of the Shin family were killed. Then a third. What? Another 3 core elders were killed? Is the Duan family crazy? Why did they let their core elders come out? Many people were shocked, and many people were suspicious. This is normal. Many of the Duan family's businesses have been severely affected. Their resources have probably been reduced by a lot. If they continue to hide, their resources will probably be cut off. That's why those people took the risk to come out. That makes sense. However, the other party is too powerful. They actually killed the Duan family's core elders. I wonder if it's done by the same faction? That's right. If it's really the same faction, then the other party can exchange for longevity pills. For a time, everyone was excited. Countless people continued to keep an eye on the Shin family. Even more people went to Class 1 Hall to check if there were any longevity pills being exchanged. At this moment, an ordinary-looking gray-clothed man walked into Class 1 Hall. The gray-clothed middle-aged man kept a low profile and looked ordinary. He also suppressed his aura very low. Hence, no one noticed him in the crowd. Class 1 Hall's manager did not notice him either. However, after the other party said something, they looked at him seriously. This is not the place to talk. Follow me to the back. Soon, the gray-clothed middle-aged man was brought to a living room at the back. Is what you said true? The Class 1 Hall's manager asked. Of course it's true. How can I lie about this? The gray-clothed man said. The Class 1 Hall's manager said. Even so, we still have to inspect the goods in advance. I'm just a messenger. The goods are not with me. Of course, you can inspect the goods, but not here, the gray-clothed man said. After all, killing the Duan family's core elders is a big deal. Moreover, it's 3 of them. If this news spreads, the Duan family will definitely fight to the death with us. At that time, we might be killed before we even step out of this door. Hearing this, the Class 1 Hall's manager frowned. Then what do you want? We can deliver the goods, but we have to go somewhere else. Where to? Nanshan City. The elite hall executive officer thought about it, and then said, I cannot make the decision on this matter. I can only send this news up. As for the outcome, I do not know. It's fine. I can wait here. 3 days. I hope I can get the information I want in 3 days. The gray-robed middle-aged man's expression was calm. Sure. Class 1 Hall will arrange a place for you. After that, the deacon pushed open the door and ordered someone to prepare the room while he quickly reported the matter. Soon, Lin Xian received the news. Lin Xian frowned. Are you saying that someone killed 3 of the Duan family's core elders and went there to exchange for longevity pills? However, they weren't willing to do the exchange at Class 1 Hall and wanted to go somewhere else? That's what the other party said. Brother Xian, I think there's something fishy about this matter. Should we reject the other party? Yu Fei asked. Where did they choose to trade? Nanshan City. Have you checked that place? I have. I didn't find anything unusual. Nanshan City is not a force under the Duan family. It's not too far from Windy City. What kind of strength did the other party have? Did you find out? No, there were no signs. We can't find out either. Yufei said. Brother Xian, I didn't do my job well. It's fine. Lin Xian thought about it and then asked, What do you think? The other party is too strange. I'm worried that this is a trap. Moreover, the 9th and 10th elders are not here. We don't have any reliable experts. After all, the longevity pills are too tempting. If we use experts from other forces, something might happen. Yufei spoke out his worries. Indeed, the longevity pill was a heaven-defying divine medicine. No matter if it was consumed or sold, it would be sold at a sky-high price. Therefore, only very reliable people could use it to exchange. Looks like I can only go by myself. Lin Xian sighed. No. Brother Xian, it's too dangerous. If this is a trap set by the Duan family, the consequences will be severe. Yufei quickly dissuaded. Actually, I also think it's a trap. However, I still want to take a look. Lin Xian smiled. Recently, I've been refining something good. It's a good opportunity to test it out. Moreover, don't worry. Even if the other party has a half-step king, I'm confident that I can safely retreat. Really? Yufei was shocked. Could he escape unscathed from a half-step king? Lin Xian smiled mysteriously. Tell that person that I will go. Yes. Seeing Lin Xian's confident smile, Yufei did not try to dissuade him. After he left, Lin Xian also stopped smiling. His expression was somewhat serious. Duan family, let me see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeve. The Crimson Dragon said from the side. Kid, don't worry. With Ben Huang here, you can definitely leave safely. Ben Huang's profound jade platform can teleport 200 li. As long as it's not a king, there won't be any problems. That's good. Lin Xian was full of confidence. Next, Lin Xian made some preparations and set out. This time, he didn't bring anyone except the Crimson Dragon and the Snow White Monkey. He wasn't worried. Firstly, he had just refined the Crimson Lotus battle armor, which could block 70% of the damage, greatly increasing his safety. Moreover, he had also made a breakthrough in his 2 earth tier cultivation methods, greatly increasing his strength. Moreover, he had the Crimson Dragon as his helper. If he really couldn't win, he still had the Crimson Dragon's profound jade platform, which could directly teleport him away. It could be said that it was very safe. Therefore, he dared to go alone. In the elite hall, the gray-robed middle-aged man also revealed a smile when he heard this news. However, his smile was somewhat sinister. He knew that the fish had taken the bait, and the next step was to reel in the net. The gray-robed man stayed in the elite hall and waited patiently. 3 days later, Lin Xian arrived. Greetings, young Master Lin Xian. The gray-robed man bowed slightly to Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. I don't have much time. Let's hurry up and go. Okay, young Master Lin, follow me. The gray-robed man didn't delay and quickly soared into the sky. Lin Xian's figure flashed and followed behind. They didn't speak along the way. After about 4 hours, the gray-robed man in front suddenly said, Young Master Lin, Nanshan City is in front. After saying that, he lowered his body and landed in one of the cities below. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and glanced below. The corners of his mouth curled up, and then he followed. Whoosh whoosh. The two landed on the street. After arriving in the city, the gray-robed man's footsteps were obviously much faster. Soon, he arrived in front of a mansion. The red door was 3 meters wide and 5 meters tall. It was very majestic. There were 2 lifelike statues of strange beasts in front of the door. Young Master Lin, this is the place. Please come in, the gray-robed man said. Lin Xian nodded without any expression on his face. Seeing this, the gray-robed man didn't say anything and quickly led the way in front. When the two of them completely entered the mansion, the gray-robed man in front heaved a sigh of relief. It's settled. As long as the other party comes in, he won't be able to escape. They had set up several formations in this mansion. Some were for defense, some were for sealing, and some were for concealing qi. In short, this was a heaven and earth cage. The other party would definitely not be able to escape. Chapter 1288. Soon, the gray-clothed man brought Lin Xian to a living room. Lin Xian's expression was calm as he sat down in an imposing manner. Soon, a beautiful maidservant brought over some spirit tea. The gray-clothed man left after bringing Lin Xian in. At this moment, only Lin Xian and the two maidservants were left in the living room. The two maidservants were earnestly brewing tea. "Young Master Lin, please wait. My master will be here soon." The two beautiful maids poured the spirit tea and stood respectfully at the side. Lin Xian nodded. Then, he leaned back in his chair and narrowed his eyes. To outsiders, he seemed to be resting with his eyes closed. In fact, he was communicating with the Crimson Dragon. "How is it? What did you find?" Lin Xian asked. "There are at least 3 types of spirit arrays here. These people look ordinary, but they're hiding their strength. This is indeed not a good place," the Crimson Dragon said. "It's indeed a trap. Along the way, I've seen many powerful auras hidden in this villa. The surrounding security is also very tight. I'm afraid it won't be easy to get out." Lin Xian snorted. However, he didn't care. He wanted to see what these people were up to. Not long after he communicated with the Crimson Dragon, the door opened. Then 2 figures walked in. The person in front was an old man. His hair was gray, but his vitality was abnormally strong. He was like a furnace. He walked with a majestic gait. His movements were dignified. From the aura he emitted, Lin Xian was sure that he was a 9th-level supremacy. Behind him, there was a handsome young man who also had the aura of a peak 8th-level supremacy. Behind them, there were 8 black-clothed men. They looked cold and carried swords on their backs. The 8 black-clothed martial artists also entered the living room and stood at the side. If one paid attention, they would realize that these people had sealed all the doors and windows. It seemed that they were planning to trap Lin Xian in this room. The tall and dignified old man sat down. Then, he stared at Lin Xian and smiled. "There's no choice. The situation is serious. Young Master Lin has to come here personally. Young Master Lin, did you bring the longevity pill?" "I've always brought the longevity pill. Where are your heads?" Lin Xian asked calmly. Seeing Lin Xian's confident and calm appearance, the tall and mighty elder's eyes flickered and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Lin Xian's aura alone surpassed most of the young martial artists. If he was allowed to grow, he would definitely be a great enemy of the Duan family. Therefore, he had to get rid of him. Behind the old man, the handsome young man also revealed a cold smile. In his opinion, Lin Xian was not confident. Instead, he was arrogant and had a death wish. How foolish of him to dare to come to their place alone. "My surname is Du and my name is Kong. This is my grandson Du Tianqing." "Humph." Hearing this, Du Tianqing snorted arrogantly. To be honest, in Du Tianqing's heart, Lin Xian was far inferior to him. In terms of talent and strength, Lin Xian was no match for him. It was just that Lin Xian was lucky enough to become the young master of the Palace of Ares. If Du had that identity, he would definitely do 10 times, no, 100 times better than Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian frowned slightly and said impatiently, "I'm not interested in knowing your name. You just need to hand over the 3 heads of the Duan family's core elders. As for the rest, I'm not interested." Hearing this, Du Kong's face darkened as he looked at Lin Xian with a cold gaze. Suddenly, the air in the room froze. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on everyone, making it hard to breathe. Du Tianqing shouted angrily, "Lin Xian, what's with your attitude? How dare you speak to my grandfather like that?" "Apologize," Lin Xian sneered. "Who do you think you are? I'm talking to your grandfather. Who are you to speak here? Slap him." Lin Xian's meaning was clear. He was from the same generation as Du Kong, while Du Tianqing was his grandson. Du Tianqing naturally understood what he meant. He was instantly enraged and even wanted to pull out the long sword at his waist. "Tianqing, back off," Du Kong said in a low voice. "Don't scare young Master Lin." "Scare me? You're thinking too much. How could such a small force scare me? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. All right, you've been pretending for so long. Even if you're not tired, I'm tired. Show me what you've got. My time is precious. Du Kong frowned when he heard Ling Xian's impatient words. What am I pretending for? You can tell? A bad premonition suddenly surged in his heart because the other party was too confident. Could it be that the other party had seen through his scheme? But so what? Ling Xian was already here. He couldn't escape. All right, stop wasting time. If you continue wasting time, I'm afraid Ling Feng can't wait any longer. Lin Xian sneered. Looks like you already know. Du Kong's face darkened. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. But I'm curious. Since you know, you still dare to come. You're courting death. I'm curious because I want to see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeves. But now it seems like it's nothing. Lin Xian shrugged. He didn't seem to care. Since you know, then I'll cut to the chase. Men, kill him. As soon as Du Kong's voice fell, two black-clothed martial artists in the room quickly walked in. With a clang, they unsheathed their swords and charged at Lin Xian. Dazzling saber light flashed in the air. With a sharp aura, they slashed at Lin Xian's left and right. It looked like they wanted to cut off his arms and legs. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. The two dazzling saber lights in the air seemed to have hit a huge mountain. They quickly broke into two halves. What? He blocked it. Behind him, the two black-clothed martial artists' expressions changed drastically. Du Kong's expression also changed. Lin Xian also stopped smiling. Instead, it was replaced by a cold look. His gaze was like lightning. A dazzling light soared from his body. It seemed to tear the heavens and earth apart. Within the sword chi, there was a sharp, murderous aura. It was like a stampede of beasts. It was extremely terrifying. With a wave of his hand, two sword chi flew out and slashed behind him. In an instant, the two black-clothed martial artists were cut in half. Instantly, a bloody mist sprayed out. The pungent smell of blood filled the air. Go, kill him for me. Du Kong roared. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Therefore, he didn't attack. Instead, he quickly retreated with Du Tianqing. Soon, the other 6 black-clothed martial artists in the room attacked. Powerful auras erupted from their bodies. They were all 8th Heaven honorables. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body exuded a strong murderous aura. Countless lightning bolts rushed out and surrounded his body. Then, Lin Xian punched out. Boom! Thunder exploded, accompanied by the fist as it rushed forward. The power was too strong. It was as if the god of thunder had descended. Poof! 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 The 3 black-clothed martial artists who were charging forward were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. When they were struck by the violent lightning, they immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. Their body defenses and armors shattered instantly. They couldn't withstand the powerful power of the lightning. Boom! Then, the 3 of them exploded as well. Chapter 1289. The 3 black-robed men were the first to bear the brunt of the attack. They screamed when they were hit by the violent lightning. Their body defenses and armors instantly shattered, unable to withstand the powerful lightning energy. Boom! Then, the 3 of them exploded as well. The blood mist in the air had yet to dissipate, but Lin Xian's figure was still nowhere to be seen. Lin Xian appeared in front of the other 2 black-robed martial artists in a flash. His fingers formed a claw as he grabbed their heads and smashed them in the middle. Pung! Blood splattered everywhere like a watermelon. In an instant, 2 black-robed men were dead. There was only one left. However, the 2 maids who made the tea earlier also shouted. They quickly took out 2 thin swords from their storage rings and stabbed at Lin Xian. The 2 swords were aimed at Lin Xian's vital points. Moreover, they were very fast. They even passed by the black-robed men. Who would have thought that these 2 frail girls were actually terrifying assassins? 2 cold lights flashed in the air, slicing through the air instantly. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless white lightnings surged out of his fist. The white lightning was very strange. It carried a cold and violent aura. It quickly formed a demonic beast in the air and pounced forward. In an instant, it enveloped the two maids. In the next moment, the power of lightning was released. It penetrated their bodies. Plop! Plop! Two charred bodies fell to the ground, emitting the smell of barbecued meat. When the last black-robed martial artist saw this, his expression changed drastically. He quickly fled outside. However, Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside him. With a kick, he split the man into two halves. In an instant, 8 black-robed martial artists and 2 assassins were killed. Blood flowed all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood was disgusting. Du Tianqing's eyelids twitched when he saw this. His body began to tremble. As an 8th heaven peak martial artist, he usually did not take anyone seriously. However, the scene in front of him deeply provoked him. Those were 8 8th heaven supremacies. He was killed in an instant. This was something he didn't even dare to imagine. Originally, he was still very arrogant, thinking that Lin Xian was inferior to him. But now, it seemed that he was gravely mistaken. Du Kong's face was also incomparably gloomy. From the other party's methods just now, his strength was definitely not inferior to a 9th heaven sovereign. It seemed that the rumors were true. I admit that you've exceeded my expectations, but so what? We've set up an inescapable net today. No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape. Where is the law enforcement elder? Du Kong shouted coldly. Suddenly, the void fluctuated and 5 figures walked out. The auras of these 5 people were extremely powerful, far surpassing that of the black-robed cultivator from before. Their bodies exuded a violent aura, and their auras indicated that they were 5 9th level supremacies. The 5 9th heaven venerables stood in the void like demon kings, firmly locking onto Lin Xian. Not only that, countless warriors appeared from all directions, surrounding the entire villa. Strange assassins walked in the void one after another. In the sky and on the ground, in all directions, formations were activated, flashing with dazzling inscriptions. The entire villa became a prison of heaven and earth. Kill him! Don't leave him alive! Du Kong shouted coldly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless hidden weapons flashed with a cold light and flew out of the void, quickly stabbing towards Lin Xian. These hidden weapons were poisonous. If a cultivator below the 9th heaven supremacy was hit, they would die from the poison. Lin Xian laughed coldly. He opened his fingers and stretched them forward. Then countless bolts of lightning surged out from his fingertips, forming a ball of lightning that enveloped him. Suddenly, the hidden weapons that filled the sky all crashed into the ball of lightning and spun continuously inside. He blocked all of them. The surrounding warriors were shocked and couldn't believe it. The darts that they had shot out were extremely terrifying. Even a 9th heaven supremacy couldn't easily block them. However, the other party was able to easily block it. One had to admit that this was simply too unbelievable. However, it wasn't over yet. The darts were all suspended in midair. Then, under Lin Xian's control, they flew in all directions at an even more violent speed. Pu-piu! In the next moment, the warriors hidden in the darkness all screamed because they had been hit by the darts and were poisoned. Just when everyone wanted to escape, those darts suddenly smashed open, and those injured martial artists were blown into pieces, their flesh and blood splattering everywhere. It turned out that these darts had been injected with the power of lightning and were extremely powerful. At this moment, under Lin Xian's control, they exploded with terrifying power. In an instant, dozens of warriors died. You're courting death! Die, brat! The 5 9th heaven exalts were enraged when they saw this scene, and they quickly charged towards Lin Xian. These 5 people were too violent. Even a mid-9th heaven supremacy couldn't contend against them when they joined forces, let alone Lin Xian. Hence, everyone thought that Lin Xian was really dead this time. Rosalong, it's up to you, Lin Xian said solemnly. Don't worry, it's just a few 9th heaven supremacies. Ben Huang doesn't take them seriously. Anyway, I haven't exercised for a long time. I can play with them. The Crimson Dragon laughed strangely. Then, it flew out like a bolt of red lightning. Where did this snake come from? How dare you seek death? One of the ninth heaven's supremacies sneered and punched the Crimson Dragon. Crack, crack. The sound of bones cracking rang out. In the next moment, that ninth heaven's supremacy screamed. This was because his fist collided with the Crimson Dragon. However, it didn't shatter the other party. Instead, it was as if he had collided with a mountain. That terrifying rebounding force caused his entire palm to shatter. Foolish and ignorant human, you want to contend against this emperor with just this little bit of strength? You're really seeking death. The Crimson Dragon laughed strangely like an old monster. Then, its body expanded and became a divine dragon that was dozens of feet long. It quickly trapped 3 of the ninth heaven's supremacies. The remaining 2 quickly charged towards Lin Xian. Die, brat! Those 2 ninth heaven's supremacies punched and roared ferociously. Although their 3 companions were blocked, the 2 of them were enough. This was because the 2 of them together could fight against a mid-stage ninth heaven's supremacy. Killing a 7th heaven's supremacy was a piece of cake. Boom, boom! 2 balls of energy surged out and instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Then, they quickly exploded. The void trembled, and a terrifying black hole was torn open. Countless waves of air surged, and the scene was very shocking. Meanwhile, the place where Lin Xian was drowned by the turbulence. Ha ha, die! In the distance, Du Tianqing saw this scene and immediately laughed loudly. At the side, Du Kong also heaved a sigh of relief. Whoosh, whoosh. However, suddenly, countless sword chi flew out of the energy vortex and swept in all directions. Instantly, the turbulence in the sky was cut open. Then, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and he walked out like a god of war. What? He's fine? Everyone was stunned. Impossible! This is impossible! Du Tianqing screamed. Chapter 1290. Countless streaks of sword chi flew out from the energy whirlpool and sliced through the sky. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind as he walked out like a god of war. What? He's fine? Everyone was stunned. Impossible! This is impossible! Du Tianqing screamed. Du Tianqing was indeed stunned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. One had to know that that was the combined attack of 2 ninth heaven venerables. Its power was definitely terrifying and unimaginable, but Lin Xian seemed to be fine. It was as if the attack just now hadn't hit him at all. How could this be? How could he be unharmed? Even the 2 ninth heaven venerables were stunned. They couldn't understand what was going on at all. Meanwhile, Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning, and his lips curled up slightly. He was very happy because the Red Lotus armor that he had refined had played a role and blocked 70% of the attack. That was why he was unharmed. As expected of the Red Lotus armor, it was indeed powerful. Lin Xian was very excited. He was looking forward to how strong his defense would be if he refined the entire Red Lotus armor. Since the 2 of you have finished attacking, it's my turn now. Lin Xian released a powerful aura. Then, he quickly formed seals with his hands. You're courting death! The 2 ninth heaven venerables were enraged. Although they didn't know how Lin Xian had dodged their attacks, they couldn't tolerate a 7th heaven venerables attacking in front of them. Bloodthirsty Ghost Claw! Blood-sucking slash! The 2 of them roared and used their ultimate techniques. A ghost claw that was 500 to 600 meters long slashed toward Lin Xian. Just the aftershock alone was enough to cause the entire space to crack, not to mention how terrifying it would be to be hit head-on. On the other side, a blood-colored blade shot into the sky as if it was going to cut the entire sky open. This was the furious attack of 2 ninth heaven venerables. Its power was extremely terrifying. Faced with this shocking attack, Lin Xian's expression was cold. He quickly formed seals with his hands. Then, Qiongqi's huge body formed in the sky. The moment it formed, it charged forward with a ferocious roar. Roar! A sound wave rushed out, forming a boundless killing intent. It rushed forward violently, resisting the blood-red ghost claw and shocking long blade. Rumble! The two collided, and the sky collapsed. Sky rock transformation! At the next moment, Lin Xian formed another seal. Another golden celestial pun appeared in the void, looking extremely awe-inspiring. The heavenly pun let out a long cry and swooped down, merging with Lin Xian's fist. Kill! Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind. Like a god of death, he charged forward. Clang! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the two of them. The golden heavenly pink fist whistled as it smashed out. Ghost claws flashed in the sky, but they couldn't block it at all. Bei was instantly blasted apart. Crack, crack! On top of that, ghost-clawed Venerable One's palm was also hit, causing cracking sounds to be heard. Damn it, how is this possible? He was terrified, not daring to believe this. That was because not only did his opponent blast away his ghost claw, he even shattered his fist. Retreat, this young fella's too strange. Ghost-clawed Venerable One dared not fight head-on, so it wanted to distance itself from Ouyang Yangming. You want to leave? Stay! On the other hand, Lin Xian sneered. His fingers turned into claws like the heavenly Peng's sharp claws, and he grabbed ghost-clawed Venerable One's arm in a split second. Crack! With a forceful pull, ghost-clawed Venerable One's right arm was directly torn off. White bones were exposed, and blood spurted out. The scene was shocking. Ah! Ghost-clawed Venerable One screamed in pain, and its face was hideous. On the other hand, Venerable One Blood Saber's face changed. He did not expect his opponent to injure Ghost-clawed Venerable One in an instant. What shocked him even more was yet to come. Ghost-clawed Venerable One's right arm, which was torn off, quickly burned in Lin Xian's hand. In the end, not even ashes were left. On top of that, numerous black flames danced on Ouyang Yangming's left hand, forming a black flame longsword. Sword light flickered, and black sword chi soared into the sky as it slashed toward Venerable One Blood Saber. Get lost! Venerable One Blood Saber was furious. He slashed 32 saber lights with his wild blood saber. The demonic saber lights quickly crisscrossed in the air like a long red river, emitting monstrous killing intents. When the fearsome red saber lights came into contact with Lin Xian's black sword chi, they quickly evaporated and formed numerous red mists. In the end, the 32 saber lights evaporated completely without leaving a trace behind. This is impossible! Venerable One Blood Saber's face changed. When he saw the black sword chi that was slashing toward him, he quickly dodged. Even so, he could not dodge at all. The sword chi formed by the black flames flickered in the air, then it split into 2, then 4, then 8. In the end, 64 black sword chis intertwined to form a sword net, which directly surrounded Venerable One Blood Saber. Swish! Since Venerable One Blood Saber could not dodge, he could only take it head-on. He quickly formed 13 layers of defense, and pushed the armor on his body with all his might, preparing to resist with all his might. Nonetheless, when the black swordlight landed, the 13 layers of defense in front of him melted like snow and did not stop at all. What flame is this? It's so fearsome! Venerable One Blood Saber's eyes were filled with despair. He could only pin his hopes on the armor on his body because it was a half-Earth grade treasure tool, and it had saved him many times. He hoped that this time, it could also block the fearsome sword chi from the flame. Indeed, the half-Earth grade treasure tool was fearsome as it resisted the sword net in the sky. Venerable One Blood Saber sighed a breath of relief, but in the next moment, he screamed in pain. This was because the horrifying high temperature directly passed through the half-Earth grade treasure tool and burned his body. Crackle! Crackle! The black flames burned like the fire of hell, emitting an eerie light. Venerable Blood Saber was quickly burned into ashes, leaving only his half-Earth grade armor. Looking at the armor that was burned with holes, everyone's scalps went numb. What kind of flame is this? How can it be so fearsome that even a ninth heaven Venerable One can't resist it? On the other side, Ghost-Clawed Venerable One was completely dumbfounded. As compared to Venerable One Bloodsaber, he only lost an arm. He dared not attack again, so he turned around and fled. On the other hand, Lin Xian scoffed coldly. He pulled out his Lone Star Sword and performed the Star's Sword technique. Countless sword cheese gathered in the sky at once, forming stars that quickly fell. One of them directly enveloped Ghost-Clawed Venerable One and smashed his body into the ground, forming a bottomless abyss. In an instant, 2 Ninth Heaven Venerables were killed. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Grandpa! In the distance, Du Tianqing's body trembled, and he stuttered. Why don't we run? Du Kong also took a deep breath. To be honest, he was also shocked. Although he was a mid-Ninth Heaven Venerable One, he couldn't kill 2 Ninth Heaven Venerables so easily. Moreover, looking at Lin Xian, it seemed that he hadn't used his full strength. Tianqing, retreat first and spread the news. Ask Prince Ling Feng to send more people, Du Kong said in a deep voice. Okay. Du Tianqing was already scared out of his wits. When he heard this, he immediately rushed into the sky. But soon, he came back crying. Grandpa, this is bad. This place is sealed. We can't get out at all. Chapter 1291. It's sealed? How is that possible? There are a total of 3 layers of formations in this villa. Did you not activate all of them? Du Kong frowned. No, grandfather. I've already activated all of them, but there's an unfamiliar formation outside. It's not ours at all. Moreover, that formation is very mysterious. I can't open it at all. You said there's another formation? Du Kong's expression changed drastically. Could it be that kid who set it up? Thinking of this, he rushed into the sky, wanting to give it a try. Sure enough, after the 3rd layer of formations, he encountered the 4th layer of formations. Du Kong's eyes shone brightly, and he roared furiously. His fist was like a heavenly thunder hammer, quickly bombarding the top. Boom! There was a deafening sound, and the entire villa shook. However, the 4th formation flickered with light, and there was no crack. Du Kong did not believe it. His body moved like lightning, quickly investigating in all directions. In the end, he found that the entire villa was completely sealed, and there was no way out at all. Not to mention Du Tianqing, even he could not blast it open. Damn it! How is this possible? Actually, he did not know that this formation was set up by the Crimson Dragon. With their strength and cultivation, there was no way they could break it open. In other words, this villa had indeed become a prison of heaven and earth. However, it was not Lin Xian that was trapped, but Du Kong and the others. Thinking of this, a hint of madness appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Everyone, attack with all your strength. You must kill him for me, Du Kong quickly ordered. At the same time, he took out 3 spirit talismans from his storage ring and quickly burned them. These were 3 voice transmission spirit talismans that could summon 3 supremacies in the intermediate 9th heaven nearby. Those 3 were stronger than him, and he had left them nearby as a precaution. He did not expect that they would really come in handy now. In the villa, all the cultivators knew that their way out was sealed. They could only leave if they killed the young man in front of them. Therefore, everyone became crazy in an instant. Kill him! All the cultivators attacked crazily. Hidden weapons, sword light, saber light, and palm shadows all rushed toward Lin Xian. Among them, 3 were very powerful. They were actually 9th heaven supremacies. With the 5 from before and the 3 now, there was a total of 8 9th heaven venerables, and 1 9th heaven venerables in the middle stage. This lineup could be said to be extremely powerful, and could kill anyone. He could even kill 2 mid-9th layer martial highnesses, let alone a 7th layer martial highness realm brat. It could be said that this was a situation of certain death. However, Prince Ling Feng had still underestimated Lin Xian's strength. He did not expect Lin Xian to be able to easily kill an early stage 9th stage venerable, which was why the current situation had occurred. Use the blood explosion talisman, In the darkness, the 3 ninth level venerables didn't attack. Instead, they led the other 7th and 8th level venerables to attack from afar. Immediately, many venerables took out spirit talismans from their storage rings, bit their fingers, and poured a small bowl of blood into them. Those talismans turned blood red and released a monstrous killing intent. Then, these blood explosion talismans were tied to the hidden weapons and quickly flew over. Whoosh! Whoosh! Dozens of rays of light flickered in the air, like the eyes of demons, incomparably scarlet. In an instant, countless hidden weapons with incomparably violent blood explosion talismans stabbed towards Lin Xian. Looking at the sky full of blood explosion talismans, Lin Xian's expression was cold. In the next moment, he pulled out the Lone Star sword on his back, and a sharp sword chi instantly erupted. Countless black flames coiled around the long sword, forming mysterious patterns that emitted a terrifying temperature. Moreover, the sword let out a low dragon's roar, as if the entire longsword was about to transform into a giant dragon. Kill! Lin Xian held the Lone Star sword in his hand and slashed forward. The wind whistled, and the sword chi was like a dragon, accompanied by countless black flames. In the next moment, the surrounding blood explosion talismans and hidden weapons burned rapidly because they were swept by the aftershock of the sword chi. The terrifying temperature directly burned the blood explosion talismans. The hidden weapons and blood explosion talismans in front of him also disappeared in an instant. Not only that, those cultivators also let out ear-piercing screams. In front of him, the cultivators screamed as black flames quickly rose from their bodies and burned fiercely. In almost an instant, they were burned to ashes. Lin Xian held the long sword in his hand, and his black hair fluttered. His body exuded a fierce, murderous aura. Countless black flames rose from under his feet as if they were worshipping him. He walked forward like a god of death. The surrounding cultivators were all stunned. That sword just now had killed more than 100 people, and a large area of empty space appeared in the manor. The remaining people were all trembling, and their faces were filled with fear. No! I don't want to die! Finally, someone could not take it any more and screamed. This fear was like a plague, spreading rapidly. In an instant, more than half of the cultivators lost their will to fight and fled in all directions. However, the entire manor was sealed, so where could they escape to? Lin Xian let out a low roar and used the ice and fire duo martial souls. Suddenly, the escaping cultivators froze, and countless ice spikes drilled out of their bodies, and the surface of their bodies burned rapidly. In an instant, everyone was killed. No! This can't be real! In the distance, Du Tianxing screamed, his face extremely pale. As for Du Kong and the 3 ninth heaven supremacies fighting the Crimson Dragon, their expressions changed drastically. Especially the 3 ninth heaven supremacies, they quickly retreated, not daring to fight anymore. Elder Kong, what should we do? The 3 of them asked anxiously. Fight. Otherwise, only death awaits. Du Kong's expression was ferocious. We still have people, we still have hope. Furthermore, the 3 senior brothers are still on the way and will arrive soon. By then, the 4 ninth heaven supremacies would not be afraid of him. But we can't stop him at all. The 3 ninth heaven supremacies shook their heads, their eyes filled with fear. Even if we can't stop him, we have to stop him. As long as we can delay him a little more, we can win. Otherwise, we will all die, Du Kong said in a low voice. This time, we have gathered the strength of the 8 great families. I don't believe that we can't kill him. Indeed, the 8 great families under Prince Ling Feng had sent out elite cultivators this time, and there were still many of them in the manor. However, those are all our hard work. If we die here, the 8 great families will be finished. The 3 ninth heaven supremacies could not bear it. You're wrong. If we die, it will be the real end. Du Kong did not have a shred of emotion. As long as we don't die, the 8 great families can be reformed. All right, let them come out. I understand. The 3 ninth heaven supremacies said, but they still need some time to come out. Du Kong nodded. Let the weaponry refinement team go first. The Blood Demon team and Half Demon team quickly recover. Yes. The 3 Ninth Heaven Supremacies agreed. Then, with a flash, they flew into the depths of the manor. Lin Xian held his sword and watched silently, not stopping them. This was because he was here to eliminate the source of the problem. Only when those people took out all their hidden strength would he be able to make a move. Otherwise, if he kept them alive, there would be a disaster in the future. Clang! 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 Rumble! Suddenly, a series of sounds came from the manor, as if countless metals were colliding. It was very ear-piercing. Chapter 1292. The sound of metal clanging resounded in the villa, followed by the ground trembling slightly. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked ahead. A group of about 50 warriors appeared in front of him. These people had cold expressions, and their faces had a metallic luster, as if they were not real humans, but metal men. Lin Xian was a little surprised. He did not expect to meet such warriors. At the side, the dark red dragon frowned as well. Weapon fusion? What? Lin Xian did not understand. There is an ancient lost art that can fuse weapons into the body and practice it into an extremely powerful divine ability. You mean these people all have ancient cultivation methods? And they've practiced it? Lin Xian was surprised. How is that possible? That cultivation method has been lost, and the requirements for the warrior are very high. It is impossible for ordinary warriors to practice it. These people have probably only heard of the legend of weapon fusion, but the method is wrong. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. These people must have forcibly fused weapons into their bodies. It is very dangerous, and the process is very cruel. Hearing the Crimson Dragon's explanation, Lin Xian also understood that these people in front of him must have practiced some kind of evil art. These people were really crazy. In order to pursue great power, they did not hesitate to use this kind of self-harming method. In front of him, 50 metal warriors were rushing over quickly, like a sharp sword. Soon, these people were divided into 5 teams of 10 people, rushing from different directions. The first team of warriors spread out their arms, and there were blades on their arms. These people must have fused their weapons into their arms. The 10 people were very fast, and in an instant, they were in front of Lin Xian. Their arms that had fused with their weapons quickly blasted out, wanting to kill him. Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist, accompanied by countless lightning, quickly rampaging. Pung! An earth-shaking sound rang out, and he collided with a warrior who had fused with a giant hammer. Suddenly, the whole space shook, and the ear-piercing roar made many people bleed from their ears. Lin Xian's eyes flashed like lightning. He stood as still as a mountain, but the martial artist in front of him retreated several dozen steps, leaving a deep gully in the ground. However, his arm was not broken. Lin Xian was also very surprised. As expected of an arm that had fused with a weapon, it was indeed powerful. Compared to martial artists of the same level, it was a whole realm stronger. No wonder these people did not hesitate to harm their own bodies and use such a cruel method. Du Kong and Du Tianqing in the distance were overjoyed when they saw this scene. They realized that they seemed to have found a way to deal with Lin Xian. At least these people weren't instantly killed like before. Go, go! Kill him! Du Kong roared madly. Immediately, the 50 metal warriors received the order, and their figures flashed like lightning, attacking once again. The first squad was like a sharp knife, rushing to the forefront. Giant hammers, sabers, swords, spears, all kinds of strange weapons appeared on the arms of these people. They flashed with a cold light, and ruthlessly attacked Lin Xian. The second squad launched a sneak attack from behind. These people had fused their legs. With a kick, saber light and sword shadows flashed. These martial artists' legs were like heavenly sabers, incomparably sharp, easily cutting through the void. Squad 3, Squad 4, and Squad 5, keep up! Some of these people had fused half of their bodies, and some had completely fused, forming metal men. They could be said to be incomparably powerful. Even a ninth heaven venerable would probably find it difficult to retreat unscathed when facing such a terrifying attack. Lin Xian stood in place, not moving at all. A cold smile tugged at his lips. If it were anyone else, they would probably be helpless in this situation. Because the other party's body was really too tough, and they could not blast it open at all. But he was different. He had a way to restrain these people. No matter how strong you are only metal. You will also melt when encountering fierce fire. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and a ball of black flames surged out of his palm. Indeed, Lin Xian had terrifying black flames that could restrain metal. As expected, when this black flame appeared, those metal warriors trembled, and many showed expressions of horror. Facing the black flame, they instinctively felt a kind of fear. "Don't retreat, all of you, attack! Although he has flames, he might not be able to restrain us," someone shouted. Hearing this, a trace of madness appeared in these people's eyes. With a roar, they rushed over like wild beasts. "Stubborn!" Lin Xian snorted coldly, and with a slap, a large black flame palm was pushed out. This black flame came from the heavenly netherbird's origin flame. It was extremely terrifying, and Lin Xian had refined it into a martial soul, so its power was even stronger. At this moment, the entire space became distorted. The first squad was even more fiercely attacked, and their arms began to melt under the high temperature. Soon, their hands that had fused with their weapons turned into a ball of molten metal that dripped onto the ground. The martial artists of the first squad let out ear-piercing screams. There was no helping it. It was too painful. Could you imagine the feeling of having your arms melt? They were now suffering this kind of torture. These metal men originally had this kind of flaw. If they encountered extremely strong flames, they would not be able to resist at all. However, when they had chosen this path, they had thought that they would be lucky, as there were very few such flames in the world. Furthermore, as long as it was not a king-level flame, they would not be afraid at all. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian's flames came from an ancient peerless demonic beast, and were even more terrifying than a king-level flame. Therefore, against this kind of black flame, they had no power to resist at all. The large black palm was like a bulldozer, and wherever it passed, the martial artists of the first squad would melt. In an instant, the threat in front of Lin Xian was eliminated. However, at this moment, the people of the second squad had already charged over. Demonic Blade Kick! 18 Ghost Fire Kicks! Wind Cloud Divine Kick! Shadows of kicks flashed, and they were like divine swords, extremely sharp and fierce. If an eighth heaven venerable realm was hit by these kicks, they would probably explode immediately. Lin Xian sneered, and without turning his head, he slapped out with his palm. Suddenly, a black fire dragon flew out from his palm, roaring as it circled around. The martial artists of the second squad were instantly enveloped by the black dragon, and they let out miserable cries. Their attacks were all burned in the air and then melted. Not only that, but 2 black spears appeared in Lin Xian's palms, burning fiercely as they quickly pierced towards the left and right. The spears were extremely sharp and carried a scorching heat. It was as if the god of fire had descended, and they instantly pierced through the third and fourth squads. As for the fifth squad, Lin Xian glanced at them, and then black flames appeared all over their bodies. Soon, the 5 squads of the weaponry refinement team were all annihilated. Who? The ground was covered in black flames, and the martial artists of the weaponry refinement team had long disappeared, and not even their corpses were left behind. Chapter 1293. Whoosh! 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 Black flames danced on the ground, burning fiercely. Meanwhile, the cultivators from the weaponry refinement team were nowhere to be seen. Not even their corpses were left behind. This scene was too terrifying. The weaponry refinement team that had been roaring furiously and filled with killing intent a second ago actually had nothing left behind. For a moment, the entire villa was empty. Seeing this scene, Du Tianqing and Du Kong both felt their scalps go numb. Especially Du Kong, who was even more terrified. This was because he knew the power of the weaponry refinement team. They were definitely extremely powerful. Even a ninth heaven venerable could not kill them. Those people were formed after the 8 great clans had spent a lot of effort. Back then, a total of 5,000 people had participated in this experiment, but in the end, only 50 people had succeeded. It could be said that this was their secret weapon. Now that they had used it to deal with Lin Xian, it should be very effective. However, who would have thought that they would be killed instantly? Where are the Blood Demon team and the Half-Beast team? Du Kong roared crazily, his eyes filled with fear. He had to delay Lin Xian and wait for the other 3 ninth heaven venerables to arrive. Otherwise, they would be dead for sure. Elder Kong, the Blood Demon team and the Half-Beast team have not completely recovered. The ninth heaven venerable broke out in cold sweat. We can't wait any longer. Let them go quickly. We must stop them. Yes, I understand. The ninth heaven venerable gritted his teeth and nodded in the end. Then, he turned around and left quickly like a ghost. Not long after, the ground in front of them suddenly flashed with light. 2 huge hexagram arrays quickly appeared, and then 2 groups of people appeared in the light. A teleportation array. Looks like some strange fellows have come out again. The Crimson Dragon looked forward with anticipation. The dazzling light quickly disappeared, and finally, 2 groups of cultivators appeared on the ground. This time, there were even fewer people. There were only about 30 people on each side. In total, there were about 60 people. However, their auras were even more violent than the weaponry refinement team from before. The 30 people on the left were extremely strange. Their bodies were glowing red, and if one looked closely, they would realize that it was blood flowing. They were all like blood men. Their cold eyes were extremely red, and they were filled with killing intent. They looked like a group of killing gods. Thinking about it, this should be the Blood Demon team that Du Kong had mentioned. Judging from the killing intent on those people, they should have killed at least 10,000 people. Not only that, their blood seemed to have been stimulated by a secret technique, forming a special energy. However, this method of squeezing out the body's potential meant that these martial artists would not live for long. Being able to live for 10 years was already very heaven-defying. The Crimson Dragon had a look of disdain on his face. He was very opposed to this method of extracting energy. Then, it turned its gaze to the people on the right. F***CK, what is this? The group of warriors on the right was even weirder. Some of them had a pair of wings on their backs, some had scales on their bodies, and some had parts of demonic beasts. This was the last group, the half-demon group. What the hell are they? They're neither human nor demon. They're neither fish nor fowl. These guys are really courting death. The Crimson Dragon shook its head. This should be their final secret weapon, Lin Xian said coldly as he looked at the blood demons and half-fiends. It seems that they've gone mad in order to obtain more power. This is not something a martial artist would do. Since it's something that shouldn't exist in this world, let it disappear. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. At the front, the blood demons and half-fiends received the order and quickly recovered. The eyes of the blood demons on the left burst out a terrifying red light. Their killing intent was incomparable, as if they had gone mad. The blood-red killing intent was agitated and covered the entire sky. In an instant, the entire villa was dyed red. The 30 people at the front all had a substantial killing intent. Then, they soared into the sky and quickly charged at Lin Xian. Killing intent? You're not qualified! Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. Then, his eyes burst out a dazzling light. Blood Sword Slaughter Inheritance, activate! A violent energy instantly burst out from Lin Xian's body. Blood-red sword aura gushed out from Lin Xian's body and quickly covered the surroundings, forming a sea of blood. 2 rays of blood-red light appeared in his cold eyes. Not only that, his black hair danced in the wind and was also dyed red. A shocking and violent killing intent burst out from Lin Xian's body and swept through the sky, causing the entire villa to shake violently. If the killing intent of the 30 people at the front were rivers and lakes, then Lin Xian's killing intent was a vast ocean and a vast starry sky. Boundless and endless. The two were not even on the same level. What? How is this possible? How can he have such a terrifying killing intent? In the distance, Dukong and the other Ninth Heaven Supremacies were all stunned. How many people did he have to kill to form such a violent killing intent? 100,000? 1 million? Or 10 million? They did not dare to believe that a 20-year-old cultivator could kill so many people. How could they know that the reason why Lin Xian could display such a violent killing intent was because of the blood sword slaughter inheritance? That was the inheritance of a king. It was definitely not something that people like them could imagine. At the front, the 30 cultivators of the blood demon group also felt Lin Xian's aura, and they instantly trembled uneasily. The killing intent on their bodies also became chaotic and uneasy. Facing Lin Xian, they were no longer charging forward crazily. Instead, they were like trembling kittens, unable to resist at all. Oh no, the consciousness of the blood demon group is about to collapse! At the back, a Ninth Heaven Supremacy's expression changed drastically. In the next instant, he took out a blood-red bell. A trace of madness appeared in his eyes, and he shook it rapidly. Dang, 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 dang. Strange syllables were heard. When the blood demons heard this, they instantly went crazy. Their trembling bodies also returned to normal, but their auras became even more violent. The blood vessels in their eyes were also so thick that they could not be removed. If outsiders saw this, they would know that these people had completely gone crazy. Attack! The 30 figures were like suicide soldiers who did not care about their lives, and they quickly charged forward. Even if they had to self-destruct, they had to kill this young man in front of them. Meanwhile, Lin Xian's invitation was even more arrogant. He was like the god of slaughter reborn. The sea of blood around him surged, and a blood-red sword condensed in front of him. Blood-splitting sky. With the swing of the sword, an unparalleled sword light surged rapidly. It was like a blood-red rainbow, instantly enveloping the 30 people in front of him. Everywhere the sword light passed, there were countless demonic sounds and ghostly howls, causing one's scalp to go numb. At this moment, the entire 30-feet area seemed to have turned into a hellish battlefield. Bang! The blood-red sword light slashed down, and the 30 blood demon cultivators in front of him quickly exploded like dazzling fireworks. One sword, and the blood demon group was annihilated. No! This can't be real! Dream, I must be dreaming! Seeing this scene, Dukong and the rest went crazy. Du Tianqing even knelt on the ground, trembling, and kept fiddling with his hair. Demon, this is a demon! He had never heard of such a technique. Chapter 1294. In fact, the other party's killing aura had directly destroyed his mind. He could not resist at all. He could only kneel here and tremble. Below, the half-demon cultivators also went crazy and roared anxiously. They did not even need to wait for orders. They had already charged forward crazily. Just now, Lin Xian's blood-red killing sword aura had already destroyed their minds. Now, they were already in a state of madness. They did not know what danger was at all. That was why they had charged forward crazily. Meanwhile, Lin Xian floated in midair. The blood sea and blood sword around him had not disappeared. Not only that, but they had become even clearer. They even emitted a pungent smell of blood. Today, I'll let you see what a real killing aura is! Lin Xian's lips curled up in a cold smile. He did not put away the blood sword massacre inheritance. Instead, he used it to the extreme. Dressed in a black robe, his blood-red hair fluttered. Lin Xian held a sword in his hand. He was like a god of death. The boundless blood sea surged in the air, emitting a sound that made one's soul tremble. Bloodthirsty demonic sword, first sword, spirit slaughter! Lin Xian's voice was cold. His killing aura had materialized. His arrogant aura was like a volcano, causing the entire mountain villa to tremble. At this moment, Lin Xian had transformed into a demon. The boundless blood sea surged in the sky, dyeing the entire mountain villa red. 8 streaks of blood-red sword aura slashed out in all directions with Lin Xian as the center. The ground split open, and houses collapsed. It was a mess. The 30 half-demon cultivators were also turned into a bloody mist by the 8 streaks of sword aura. At this moment, nothing could stop Lin Xian. Seeing this, the 3 ninth heaven venerables' expressions changed drastically. Du Kong's face was even paler, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Dead? All dead. His expenses? The elites that he had nurtured for decades had all died in this battle. He could not accept this at all. Not only that, but the more serious thing was that the entire mountain villa was sealed. They could not escape at all. As expected, Lin Xian's second sword was aimed at these 9th heaven venerables. Bloodthirsty demon sword, second sword, slaughtering wind. It was another blood-red sword chi. Wherever it passed, a blood-red gust of wind blew through the entire manor. 4 blood-red hurricanes connected heaven and earth, as if a demon king was walking in the human world. These 4 tornadoes charged towards the 3 ninth heaven venerables and Du Kong respectively. That blood-red hurricane was simply too violent. It contained an invincible aura, as well as blood-red slaughter sword chi. Coupled with the fact that these people had been scared out of their wits by Lin Xian, there was no way they could fight back. Pung pung pung. Not long after, the 3 ninth level venerables were enveloped by the blood-colored hurricane. Although they did their best to resist, the blood-red hurricane released countless resplendent sword lights that were too terrifying. They instantly cut these people apart. A gust of wind blew past, and the 3 powerful 9th heaven venerables were reduced to a pile of minced meat. As for the 4th blood-red hurricane, it quickly flew towards Du Kong. Even Du Kong, who was a mid-stage 9th heaven venerable, felt his scalp go numb at this moment. This was because this aura was really too wild. Under normal circumstances, Du Kong would not be afraid. However, this hurricane was unleashed by Lin Xian in an extremely frenzied manner. Furthermore, it contained the blood energy of those dead cultivators. He did not dare to resist at all. However, the surrounding paths were all sealed. "Grandfather, do something! Quickly do something! I don't want to die!" At the side, Du Tianxing was so scared that he wet his pants. His handsome face was extremely pale. At this moment, he no longer had the arrogance from before. He was like a lowly ant. However, Du Kong was silent. As he looked at the blood-red hurricane that was getting closer and closer, he made up his mind. A hint of madness appeared in his eyes. His hand was like a ghost's claw, and it was as fast as lightning as it grabbed Du Tianxing. Du Tianxing immediately screamed in pain. This was because that hand had already sunk into his flesh, causing a large amount of blood to spurt out. "Ah! Grandfather, you..." Du Tianxing was both shocked and frightened. He did not know what to do. However, in the next moment, his body suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Du Tianxing did not believe that his grandfather would kill him with his own hands. However, he did not know this at this moment. The pile of blood quickly condensed in front of Du Kong, forming a fist-sized blood-red ball of light. Then Du Kong slapped it out. Boom! The blood-red ball of light was formed by Du Kong using a secret method. It was very strange. It required the body of a cultivator as the raw material, which was why he killed Du Tianxing. The ball of light was like a blood-red moon. It flew quickly and then hit the hurricane, causing a tremor like today's. The hurricane swept and blood filled the air. The entire villa was completely shrouded in it. When everything disappeared, a bottomless pit appeared in front of them, as if it was connected to the underworld. The 3 formations that the villa had previously set up were also shattered in this explosion. Only the Crimson Dragon formation was still standing. Du Kong escaped with his life by relying on the blood-red ball of light. He hid at the side and kept panting. Looking at this scene, Du Kong's face was extremely pale. His heart was bleeding. This was the secret villa that he had painstakingly managed to cultivate elites for the 8 great families. However, everything was now destroyed. There was nothing left. In an instant, he seemed to have aged 100 years. He knew that all of this was caused by this detestable brat in front of him. It was this brat who destroyed the 8 great families. Du Kong's heart was filled with anger. It was like a raging fire burning in his body. However, in the next moment, his body trembled. The anger in his body quickly retreated as if it had encountered ice. Even Du Kong's body began to tremble. This was because he saw Lin Xian walking towards him. In the distance, Lin Xian held a blood-red sword in his hand. Behind him, there was an endless sea of blood. He walked step by step towards Du Kong. With every step Lin Xian took, Du Kong's heart sank. In the end, he rolled and crawled away into the distance. "Stop! You can't kill me!" Du Kong began to beg for mercy. "Can't kill you?" Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Give me a reason not to kill you. If you kill me, Prince Ling Feng won't let you go." "Idiot!" Lin Xian was disdainful. He slowly raised the blood-red killing sword in his hand. "Don't do it! Don't kill me! I know a lot of secrets about Prince Ling Feng and the Duan family. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you everything." Seeing that his threats were useless, Du Kong immediately changed his strategy. He wanted to use his value to exchange for a way out. "You're not even a member of the Duan family. What secrets would you know? I'm afraid you can't even enter the Duan family's core circle." Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. "Stop struggling. I'll send you on your way." With that, Lin Xian raised the blood-red killing sword and was about to slash forward. At this moment, an angry roar suddenly came from the sky. "Brat, let go of Elder Kong quickly. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." This voice was like a clap of thunder that exploded from above. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned slightly and turned to look forward. On the other hand, Du Kong, who was on the ground, was ecstatic. "Sky Snake Venerable, you're here. Save me quickly!" Chapter 1295. 3 powerful auras came from the void above. They were extremely violent and made one's heart tremble. 3 mid-stage 9th Heaven Venerables! Lin Xian frowned slightly, and his eyes flickered. The Crimson Dragon also snorted. I didn't expect reinforcements to arrive. Kid, be careful. They seem to have a precious weapon in their hands that can break through the last formation." "Treasure?" Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning as he looked up. Indeed, in the next moment, a blue pagoda suddenly enlarged and smashed downwards like a giant mountain. Boom! 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 An earth-shattering sound was heard, and a huge crack appeared on the last array. Then, the 3 Ninth Heaven Venerables controlled the blue pagoda again and widened the crack. In the end, the entire array was split into 2. Swoosh! Swoosh! 3 figures with powerful auras descended quickly. Lin Xian held his sword and sneered as he looked at the 3 people. In front of him was a middle-aged man in a black robe and an old woman in a red robe with a walking stick. The last one was bald and had poisonous snakes crawling all over his body. The 3 of them had powerful auras, and they stood there like 3 mountains. Behind them, hundreds of cultivators rushed over. "Sky Snake Venerable, Red Flower Granny, Taoist Monk Mu, save me!" Du Kong shouted crazily. "Elder Du, don't worry. We will definitely ensure your safety," the bald Sky Snake Venerable said in a deep voice. "Yes, not only that, we will also kill this kid." On the side, the middle-aged man in black, Taoist Monk Mu, was also filled with killing intent. Facing the 3 arrogant people, Lin Xian didn't care at all. Instead, he stared at the blue pagoda in Red Flower Granny's hand. A fragment of an Earth-stage treasure. No wonder it has such power to break the array. Lin Xian muttered and nodded slightly. "Humph! I didn't expect you to have some knowledge. Since you know the power of the treasure, I advise you to surrender obediently. Perhaps this way, you can leave a complete corpse. Otherwise, don't blame us for tearing you into pieces." Red Flower Granny snorted with a sinister smile. However, Lin Xian wasn't moved. His gaze was like lightning as he slowly scanned the crowd. Looks like you guys should be the last reinforcements. Since that's the case, let's end this. Arrogant and ignorant. You're courting death. Brat, you're dead. You won't be able to escape today. Angry shouts rang out one after another. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was ice cold. His entire body was surrounded by lightning and black flames. His entire being was like a god of war, unstoppable. He fused the blood-colored light sword in his hand with the Lone Star sword, and then drew a strange trajectory in the air. Blood-red sword chi, purplish-white lightning, black flames, frost sword soul. Streaks of terrifying power were unleashed as the Lone Star sword danced through the air. Subsequently, 5 gigantic heavenly swords formed in the sky. Gale Lightning Sword, 5 sword gods and demons annihilation. Lin Xian performed the Gale Lightning Sword technique in the face of 4 mid-stage 9th-tier martial supremacies and close to 100 assassins. Furthermore, it was the final form of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. 5 gigantic heavenly swords appeared in the air. One of them was blood-red in color. With a monstrous killing aura, it slashed towards the 100 martial artists in the distance. Boom! As the sword landed, the ground caved in and the void shattered. The violent killing aura immediately shrouded the 100 martial artists. Screams rang out one after another. Countless people struggled frantically, trying to break out of the encirclement. However, they were all turned into blood mist by the gigantic sword and no longer existed. In an instant, the 100 martial artists were all annihilated. What? Sky Snake Supremacy and Safflower Grandma had just arrived and had not seen Lin Xian's previous combat strength. Hence, when they saw this scene, their eyelids twitched violently. How could it be? There were hundreds of elites and countless experts. Even they could not kill them in one move. However, the young man in front of them did it. This gave them a bad premonition. The 3 of you, this brat is extremely powerful. Don't hesitate. Hurry up and attack together. Du Kong roared crazily to remind everyone. Hearing that, Sky Snake Supremacy and the other 2 gasped. Then, an incomparable killing intent erupted from their bodies. Kill! Angry shouts rang out one after another. Then, Sky Snake Supremacy and the other 2 quickly attacked. Tens of thousands of snakes ran around Sky Snake Supremacy's body, forming a huge flying python that charged forward quickly. Safflower Grandma activated the blue pagoda in her hand and shot out a dazzling light shadow. The power was extremely terrifying, causing the entire void to crack. Taoist Monk Mu moved like a ghost. The black sword in his hand was as fast as lightning as it pierced toward Lin Xian's back. Du Kong, who was on the ground, also roared furiously. He unleashed a violent power and waved his fists to attack Lin Xian. In an instant, the 4 top experts attacked together. They were determined to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was laughing wildly. His blood-red hair fluttered in the air. He had an extremely arrogant smile on his face. The aura on his body was as sharp as a peerless divine sword. Let's fight. Today, the 4 of you will die here. As soon as he finished speaking, a loud dragon roar rang out from his body. The 4 gigantic swords in the sky slashed down even faster. A gigantic black sword, carrying countless black flames, like the fire of hell, slashed toward Du Kong at a high speed. A gigantic blue sword, emitting endless chilliness, froze the void wherever it passed. It quickly pierced toward Taoist Monk Mu. A purple-white lightning sword, with an extremely violent aura, pierced through the void and swept toward Sky Snake Supremacy. The last gigantic sword was extremely simple. There was a faint shadow of a dragon on it. It was as if a gigantic dragon had pierced through the void and slashed towards Safflower Grandma. In an instant, thunder roared and the wind howled. It was like a scene of destruction. Puff! Puff! Clang! Clang! Ah! The fist shadow of Du Kong evaporated in an instant. Not only that, his entire body was cut into 2 halves by the black flamed sword. His corpse was burned clean, leaving no trace behind. In the void, The gigantic flying snake shadow was pierced through by countless lightning bolts. It screamed and collapsed. Sky Snake Supremacy's body was charred black. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and was sent flying. The blue ice sword released endless power of ice and instantly froze Taoist monk Mu, turning him into an ice sculpture. It then shattered into countless pieces. The last dragon-shaped gigantic sword, emitting a killing intent that could pierce through heaven and earth, went straight for Safflower Grandma. In an instant, Safflower Grandma was scared out of her wits. She bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood on the blue pagoda, frantically activating it. The blue pagoda enlarged, like a huge blue mountain, enveloping her. Clang! A sky-shaking sound rang out. The entire void cracked. Safflower Grandma and the blue pagoda were sent flying together. 4 gigantic swords fell. Dukong and Mulurin died on the spot. Sky Snake Supremacy and Safflower Grandma were also seriously injured. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion in the entire Tianwu continent. 4 venerables in the middle stage of the 9th level fought Lin Xian, but the result was 2 dead and 2 injured. This was too unbelievable. No! This is impossible! How can you have such powerful battle strength? The surviving Sky Snake Supremacy and Safflower Grandma went crazy. They could not believe it. Chapter 1296. No! This is impossible! How can you have such powerful battle prowess? The surviving Sky Snake Supremacy and Red Flower Grandma went crazy in disbelief. Before they came, they were full of confidence and thought that their plan was flawless. They would definitely be able to eliminate Lin Xian. Who would have thought that it would end up like this? You're not human. You're a demon! A demon! They were indeed crazy. Even a late-stage 9th Heaven Supremacy would not be able to have such terrifying power. Stupid! Ignorant! Lin Xian spat. Then, he flicked out 2 void-shattering fingers, instantly piercing through the heads of Sky Snake Supremacy and Red Flower Grandma. Plop! Plop! Their eyes widened. Before they fell, they were already dead. Even in death, they could not believe that they had been killed so easily. 4 top experts, 9 Ninth Heaven Supremacies, and hundreds of elite cultivators had been completely annihilated. How terrifying was this young man before them? He was actually able to fight against the 8 great clans alone and even kill countless experts. How old was he? He was only 20 years old. Yet, he already had such battle prowess. Even the kings of the continent could not have achieved such an achievement back then. It's over. Lin Xian put away the Lone Star sword and walked out. When he and the Crimson Dragon walked out of the villa behind them suddenly burst into flames. Countless black flames engulfed the entire villa like demons. When Lin Xian disappeared into the sky, the entire Nanshan city was shaken. Actually, the experts in the city had already felt the violent energy earlier. However, that energy was too powerful, and they did not dare to go near for fear of being affected. When the force weakened, many experts nearby went to check it out. Then, they were all dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. There was a huge, deep pit in front of them. It covered a radius of 100 miles and was unfathomably deep. The originally majestic villa was gone. Not only the entire Nanshan city, but experts from the nearby cities also flew over. The energy from the previous battle had spread far and wide. Ordinary cultivators were only shocked by the terrifying pit. However, those experts' eyes widened, and their scalps went numb. They knew that this was where the great clans gathered. Countless elites were gathered. However, at this moment, it was actually destroyed. This was definitely a huge matter, and the Duan clan would probably be incomparably furious. One had to know that the Duan clan's current situation was extremely bad. They were often assassinated, but now, their secret location had actually been destroyed. Who did this? Killing so many people should be enough to exchange for a longevity pill, right? Many people were extremely excited when they heard the news. When this news reached the Duan clan, Everyone in the Duan clan was shocked. They couldn't believe that so many elite martial artists and absolute experts couldn't kill a 7th-level venerable. How is this possible? How is this possible? How could that brat survive? What was going on? Tell me! Prince Ling Feng roared in anger. The martial artists under him were so frightened that they knelt on the ground, trembling. Young master, we really don't know. The entire manor is suspected to have been leveled, and not a single trace was left behind. I'm guessing that brat must have brought a large number of 9th heaven venerables with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to destroy the entire manor. Yes, that must be it. We were careless this time. I didn't expect him to be so cautious. Trash, a bunch of trash. Prince Ling Feng was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He had never suffered such a loss before. Send people to investigate. We must find out where that brat is. If you find out that he's alone, inform me immediately. He was really mad. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't find Lin Xian now, he would definitely bring the Duan clan's men and kill them immediately. Not only the Duan clan, but all the top forces in the Sky Martial Continent, the House of Kings, were all shocked when they heard the news. Now, the battle between the Duan clan and Lin Xian was extremely intense. This was something that everyone knew. Originally, they didn't think highly of Lin Xian, because the Duan clan was too strong. But who would have thought that Lin Xian would use 5 longevity pills, and cause the Duan clan to fall into an extremely passive situation? Bhutan was already like this, and now there was even news that Lin Xian had destroyed a secret base of the Duan family. This was simply too shocking. On the other side, after Lin Xian left Nanshan City, he didn't immediately return to Senma College. Instead, he flew to a large forest nearby. This was because he wanted to get rid of the killing intent on his body. Previously, in the battle with the 8 great clans, Lin Xian had used the blood-red massacre sword intent. His entire person was like a god of death, abnormally fierce. The effect of that battle strength was very shocking. However, this killing intent was very fierce, and it would take some time to completely disperse it. If this killing intent couldn't be dispersed, it would probably affect Lin Xian's mind, and no one would be able to get close to him. In the vast forest, Lin Xian walked slowly. Everywhere he passed, countless trees and rocks were all broken. This wasn't done by Lin Xian at all. It was the effect of the killing intent on his body. Now, martial artists below the 9th celestial layer wouldn't even dare to get close to him. As for Lin Xian, he used the great dragon sword soul to maintain absolute clarity and avoid being affected by the killing intent. Gradually, the blood-red light in his eyes disappeared, and his blood-red hair also gradually returned to normal. The killing intent on his body was also weakening. 3 days later, Lin Xian returned to normal. It had to be said that the blood-red killing intent was too terrifying. It was only because he had the great dragon sword soul that he could maintain his clarity of mind at all times. Otherwise, if it was anyone else, they would have already collapsed. It was hard to imagine how the Blood Sword Emperor could maintain so much blood-red killing intent back then. Thinking of this, Lin Xian sighed. It's nothing. A king has his own domain. Thinking about it, the Blood Sword Emperor should have stored all the killing intent in his domain, which is why he could maintain absolute clarity of mind. The Crimson Dragon explained. A king's domain can be said to have endless magical uses and is very mysterious. When you step into this realm in the future, you will understand. A king's domain? Lin Xian's eyes were filled with anticipation. However, his current cultivation was only at the 7th celestial layer. He was still far from the king realm. Under normal circumstances, for a 7th celestial layer venerable to cultivate to the king realm, even if he was a genius, it would take him hundreds of years. Of course, this was the case if he didn't have a fortuitous encounter. If he had a fortuitous encounter, his cultivation would increase in a short period of time. However, this kind of fortuitous encounter couldn't be sought. Some people might not even encounter it in their entire lives. Lin Xian wouldn't place his hopes on such a faintly discernible fortuitous encounter. Although his cultivation was only at the 7th celestial layer, his great dragon sword soul had already reached the 8th celestial layer and was at the peak. It wouldn't be long before he broke through to the 9th celestial layer. Rosalong, if my sword soul breaks through to the king realm in advance, will I be able to condense a king's domain? Lin Xian asked. This? The crimson dragon held his chin and fell into deep thought. Chapter 1297. Rosalong, if my sword soul breaks through to the king realm in advance, will I be able to condense a king domain? Lin Xian asked. This? The crimson dragon rested its chin on its hand and fell into deep thought. To be honest, Lin Xian's situation was quite special. His sword soul could actually surpass his own cultivation. Theoretically, it should be possible, but I don't know if you can control that domain when the time comes. The crimson dragon said. Can I? Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. If that was the case, then he was a lot closer to the king realm. He just needed to find enough energy to quickly awaken the dragon sword soul. Once the king domain was formed, Lin Xian believed that as long as he mastered the dragon sword soul, he would definitely be able to control the king domain. At that time, he would be able to control the king domain as a venerable. Just thinking about it made him excited. Let's go back to Senma College. Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he turned into a sword ray that shot into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. Senma College, Starpoint Peak. This was Lin Xian's new residence. At this moment, the 9th Elder, 10th Elder, Yufei, and the others were anxiously waiting. What do you want me to say? How could you let the young master go to such a dangerous place alone? The 9th Elder looked at Yufei and the others and shook his head. That's enough. These people can't control what the young master wants to do. Don't scold them. The news has been sent back. The young master is fine, and the Duan clan's villa has been completely destroyed, the 10th Elder advised. Yufei and the others were covered in cold sweat, and they didn't dare to speak. At this moment, there was a flash in the sky, and a sword ray instantly landed on Starpoint Peak. Brother Xian! Yufei and the others were overjoyed when they saw this. The 9th Elder and the 10th Elder also heaved a sigh of relief. Young master, you're finally back. Young master, if you didn't come back, the 9th Elder would have eaten these people, the 10th Elder said with a smile. I'm sorry for making everyone worry. Lin Xian briefly explained the situation, but it still made everyone shudder with fear. That's right, 9th Elder, why did you go back some time ago? Could it be that something big has happened in the War God Palace? Lin Xian asked. The 9th Elder and the 10th Elder were core elders of the War God Palace. Previously, when the two of them returned together, it meant that something big had happened. That was why Lin Xian was so concerned. Young master, don't worry. Nothing big happened. The two of us went back to bring something for young master. The 9th Elder smiled. Take something? What is it? Lin Xian was even more curious. Naturally, these are the cultivation resources that the palace master left for you, Elder Jiu said as he took out a storage ring. The resources my father left for me? Lin Xian was very curious. He quickly took the ring and probed it with his soul force. He was stunned. This is too rich. Bottles of pills, piles of spirit fruits, cultivation techniques, weapons, and defensive equipment. This was simply a small treasure trove. Lin Xian had only seen such rich resources in the remote sky secret realm. Other than that, he had never seen anything else. 9th Elder, these are all for me? Lin Xian confirmed again. To be honest, he had said that he had to rely on himself to obtain cultivation resources. He did not believe that he would suddenly obtain so many cultivation resources out of thin air, even though these resources were given to him by his father. Young master, don't worry about using them. These are given to you by the palace master, and this is only the first portion of the resources. When your strength increases, there will be more resources. There are more resources. So rich! Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. However, the 9th Elder and the 10th elder sighed. Young master, you have suffered all these years. The two of them felt very guilty because these resources were nothing to the core disciples in the House of Kings. As the son of the war god Palace's palace master, Lin Xian had never enjoyed such good resources. It had to be said that it was hard to be confident. Don't worry, young master. The war god palace will be your home in the future. The war god palace will provide you with all the resources you need. Lin Xian asked and found out how extravagant the core disciples of the House of Kings were. No wonder those people had such high cultivation and were far stronger than others. The resources they usually used were not something ordinary warriors could imagine. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul and many fortuitous encounters, which was why he could be on par with those people. Now that he had become the young master of the War God Palace, he would definitely not fall behind those core disciples of the House of Kings in terms of resources. He checked and found that these resources were divided into 4 parts. The first part was pills that could be consumed by supremacies, and the effects were very good. The second part was a half-Earth rank artifact that contained an Earth rank artifact fragment. It was very powerful. The third part was a set of battle armor called the Cosmic Battle Armor. The fourth part was various cultivation techniques and secret manuals that were suitable for supremacies. When your strength increases to half-step king level and then king level, there will be more resources, the 9th elder explained. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. The first portion of the elixir resources was completely acceptable to him. As for the second portion, the treasured sword named Chom Sham contained an Earth-rank fragment treasure, which was indeed very powerful. However, Lin Xian checked and found that it was about the same as the Lone Star sword in his hand. However, the Lone Star sword was a nimble and speed-type sword, while the overlapped mountain sword was a powerful sword. It could be said that they both had their strengths. As for the third part of the cosmic battle armor, Lin Xian was a little confused. It was different from what he had imagined. It was not a ready-made battle armor, but a very small, star-like stone. Elder, how do I use this? Lin Xian scratched his head with a puzzled expression. Young master, you just need to pour your blood into it, the 9th elder explained. This cosmic battle armor is very special. It comes from the mysterious cosmic secret realm. It's different from the battle armor on our continent. It needs to absorb the blood of cultivators before it can be unfolded. Moreover, this battle armor is very strong. It can withstand 70% of any attack below the King Realm. 70%? Isn't that the same as the Red Lotus battle armor? Lin Xian was tempted. He quickly cut open his palm and placed the blue stone on his wound. The stone instantly absorbed his blood like a bottomless pit. Lin Xian was extremely shocked by the speed at which it absorbed his blood. Fortunately, the 9th elder had warned him, so he didn't resist. After absorbing around a third of his blood, the stone stopped and quickly fused into Lin Xian's palm. In the next moment, Lin Xian could clearly sense that the blue stone in his palm was like his body. Astral Battle Armor! Lin Xian bellowed, and a set of blue armor quickly appeared on the surface of his body, covering him in an instant. It covered him completely from head to toe, and only his eyes were exposed. The blue battle armor flickered like stars under the sunlight. After testing it out, Lin Xian noticed that the astral battle armor was really able to withstand 70% of the damage. This made him extremely delighted. After all, the Red Lotus battle armor he just refined was also able to withstand 70% of the damage. Its effect was extraordinarily good. However, there were still some differences. Chapter 1298. First of all, the universal armor was a complete set, and the Red Lotus armor was only a single piece of armor. According to the blueprint of the Red Lotus armor, the entire Red Lotus armor should be able to withstand 90% of the damage. In other words, the Red Lotus armor's grade was even higher than the universal armor. However, the materials used to refine the Red Lotus armor were very precious, so Lin Xian was only halfway done. But now, with the new starry armor, it could make up for his lack of defense. With a thought, the starry battle armor quickly disappeared and returned to his body. There was no trace of it on the outside. With another thought, the starry armor instantly appeared. What a magical armor! Lin Xian smiled. The ninth elder said, This armor is indeed magical. Not only is its defense strong, but it can also transform into any form. It's very precious. Oh yeah, where is the Star Mystery Realm? Why haven't I heard of it? Lin Xian asked. The ninth elder said slowly, The Star Mystery Realm is not on the Tianwu continent. It's hidden in the boundless starry sky. The Mystery Realm is very dangerous. It's said that only martial artists above the king rank can enter. But if you can come out safely, you can at least bring out a piece of starry armor. Lin Xian asked. In other words, the other House of Kings also have this kind of starry armor? The House of Kings has this kind of starry armor, but there aren't many of them. Usually, there won't be more than 10 pieces. Does the Duan clan have it? Yes, before the Duan clan rebelled, they had 3 pieces. One is with Prince Ling Feng, one is with Wu Zun, and the last one is with the head of the Duan clan. The ninth elder explained. I see. I didn't expect Prince Ling Feng to have such an armor. Looks like I'll have to put in more effort to kill him. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Young master, are you thinking of attacking Prince Ling Feng? The ninth elder was shocked. Lin Xian nodded. I do want to attack him. He set me up this time, so I have to pay him back. However, this time, we must discuss the layout properly. We must kill the other party in one go. Young master, if there's anything you need, just let us know, the ninth and 10th elders said at the same time. Don't worry. If I need your help, I won't be courteous, Lin Xian said with a smile. At this time, the Crimson Dragon also came out. When he saw the star armor on Lin Xian's body, he immediately exclaimed, Kid, where did you get your armor from? Dad gave it to me. What do you think? Don't you look handsome in it? Lin Xian laughed. Your father gave it to you? Then where did he get it? Brat, do you know that this is battle armor made by the Heaven's Legacy race? Heaven's Legacy race? What is that? Lin Xian was puzzled. Even the 9th and 10th elders were puzzled. They had never heard of the Heaven's Legacy race. Thus, Lin Xian told him everything he had heard about the Star Mystery Realm. The Star Mystery Realm is in the sky? That's right, that should be a secret realm left behind by the Heaven's Legacy race. Brat, you're quite lucky to be able to obtain the star armor made by the Heaven's Legacy race. The Crimson Dragon exclaimed. Heaven's Legacy race? What's that? Is it very powerful? Of course it is. The Heaven's Legacy race is a very mysterious race that specializes in all kinds of manufacturing. Moreover, they were very famous in the ancient times and even the immemorial times. However, they are too mysterious, and very few people have seen them. Only some of their products have been passed down in the world. The star armor you're wearing is one of them. However, it's a low-level one. What? This is low-level? Lin Xian stared. Of course it's low-level. It can only block 70% of the damage. You have the Red Lotus armor, right? That blueprint should also be from the Heaven's Legacy race. What? The Red Lotus armor too? This time, Lin Xian was really shocked. That was an armor that could block 90% of the damage. He didn't expect it to be made by the Heaven's Legacy race. This is nothing. This is just the tip of the iceberg. When you become stronger, you'll know how terrifying the Heaven's Legacy race is. Let me put it this way. Kings are very powerful, right? Lin Xian and the others nodded. The 9th elder even said, Of course. They are the pinnacle of existence on this continent. However, the Heaven's Legacy race once created a puppet that could easily tear apart a king. The Crimson Dragon revealed an explosive piece of news. What? This time, everyone was stunned. A puppet that could tear apart a king? No matter how they heard it, it was like listening to a myth. The Crimson Dragon snorted. You guys don't have to be so surprised. The Heaven's Legacy race's strength is far beyond your imagination. Moreover, the mysteries of this world are also far beyond your understanding. Cultivate well. One day, when you leave this continent and break through the endless sea, you'll know how vast the world is. Now that you mention it, even I am tempted. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Even the ninth elder and the others were shocked. This was because they had only seen some legends in ancient books. They didn't know as much as the Crimson Dragon. Everyone discussed for a while before calming down. Then, Lin Xian looked at the fourth treasure. It was the secret manuals. Lin Xian looked at them and found that they were roughly divided into two categories. One was about cultivation, and the other was about the history and knowledge of the continent and martial arts. The cultivation category was divided into physical and spiritual. The ninth elder said, "According to the palace master, when a warrior cultivates, his body and soul cannot be separated. He has to cultivate both." He even proposed the wooden bucket principle, which states that a cultivator's strength is determined by his weakest aspect. Therefore, both the body and soul must be cultivated. Even if you can't specialize in them, the difference can't be too great. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, the closer he got to the end, the more he felt the importance of these two aspects. There were a total of 2 cultivation manuals. One was the Sky Spill Visualization Art for cultivating the soul, and the other was the Furious Dragon Art for cultivating blood chi. These 2 cultivation manuals had reached the level of Earth-rank martial arts. Moreover, they were extremely rare cultivation manuals. Lin Xian had seen many Earth-rank martial arts before, but most of them were fist techniques, sword techniques, saber techniques, and other martial arts with extremely strong offensive power. Very few of them were cultivation manuals for martial artists. And now, he finally had such a cultivation manual. If a martial artist wanted to unleash extremely powerful combat strength, he had to be strong first. Only then could he withstand that kind of powerful explosion. In the following days, Lin Xian began to cultivate on Point Star Peak. He didn't directly cultivate the Sky Spill Visualization Art and the Furious Dragon Art. Instead, he read through the basic martial arts knowledge. Originally, Lin Xian was just curious and wanted to see what kind of knowledge there was. However, after reading it, he was extremely shocked and felt that his worldview had been turned upside down. Chapter 1299. Originally, Lin Xian was just curious and wanted to see what kind of knowledge there was. However, after reading it, he was extremely shocked and felt that his worldview had been overturned. It turned out that some of his previous understandings were incomplete and even wrong. Some of the sayings in these books had opened his eyes. In the past, because of the existence of the Dragon Sword Spirit, Lord Alcohol, and the others, Lin Xian knew that this world was more magical than he had imagined and that he had a long way to go. However, after understanding this knowledge, he now knew why those people were so strong. The strength of a martial artist was one thing, but the amount of strength they could unleash was different. For example, for people of the same realm, some could unleash 10,000 kilograms of strength, while others could only unleash 5,000 kilograms of strength. There were even some who could unleash 12,000 kilograms of strength. The gap between them was huge. There were many factors, such as one's own conditions, martial arts techniques, and experience. Take cultivation techniques for example. Yellow and profound grades were too crude and could only unleash a portion of a martial artist's strength. Only spirit grade cultivation techniques could unleash a martial artist's full strength. However, that was all. Earth grade cultivation techniques, which were above the spirit grade, could unleash strength that exceeded the martial artist's own strength. For example, Earth grade cultivation techniques could unleash strength that exceeded a martial artist's by 3 to 5 times. If it was a martial artist with 10,000 kilograms of strength, after unleashing an Earth grade cultivation technique, it was very likely that he could unleash 50,000 kilograms of strength. This was a difference of 5 times, far surpassing people of the same realm. For example, Lin Xian had used the Gale Lightning Sword technique and killed 4 ninth-level supremacies who were far stronger than him. It was estimated that the strength he unleashed at that time was more than 5 times. Not only that, martial arts techniques and treasured weapons could also be stacked. If a martial artist had an earth-grade martial arts technique and a high-grade treasured weapon, it would not be a problem to unleash more than 10 times the strength. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that one had to be strong. Otherwise, it would be like a baby holding a treasure sword and a peerless expert holding a stone. The result was obvious. As for soul power, it was roughly divided into 2 types. One was object control, which was mainly used to engrave inscriptions and control objects. The other was illusion, which used soul power to attack directly. Both of them had their own characteristics. For now, Lin Xian was on the first path of engraving inscriptions. For example, Zhao Shui's virtual sky eye clearly walked the path of the second type of illusion, which directly used soul attacks. Lin Xian currently did not have any thoughts of using illusions to attack, but his great dragon sword soul had both physical attacks and the ability to cut through illusions. Therefore, he was not afraid of being attacked by illusions. After understanding everything, Lin Xian began to cultivate the Tianyuan visualization art. This was a way to train one's soul power. There were a total of 9 diagrams, and each diagram was a unique pattern. The further one went, the more complicated it became. What Lin Xian needed to do was to use his soul force to quickly draw out the diagrams. If he could complete it within the time limit, it would be considered a success. Then, he would be able to cultivate the next diagram. Don't underestimate these diagrams. The first one had over 10,000 diagrams, densely packed together. Ordinary martial artists would feel dizzy just by looking at them. With Lin Xian's current soul power, he could easily complete the first 3 diagrams, but he failed to complete the 4th diagram. This aroused his fighting spirit even more, so he had been cultivating the 4th diagram these days. In addition, he also cultivated a cultivation technique that strengthened his blood and qi, the Furious Dragon Art. This was a cultivation technique that increased a martial artist's blood and qi and strengthened their physique. The body was a martial artist's capital. Only with a strong body could one withstand the doubled attack power. Otherwise, even if one had a powerful martial skill, they would not be able to use it. And the Furious Dragon Art was the best cultivation technique to build a martial artist's body. The Furious Dragon Art was divided into a total of 5 levels. Each level could withstand a 5-fold increase in attack power, and it could be stacked. In other words, when he reached the 5th level, Lin Xian could withstand a 25-fold increase in attack power. 25 times. This was an unimaginable number. If he mastered it, he would probably be invincible in the supremacy realm. For these 2 cultivation techniques, Lin Xian even prepared different pills to assist in cultivation. It could be said that he had thought it through very well. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. A month later, Lin Xian broke through. First, his great dragon sword soul broke through to the 9th level of the supremacy realm, and his cultivation had also reached the 8th level of the supremacy realm. Secondly, he had already mastered the 4th diagram of the sky spill visualization diagram, and his soul power had also greatly improved. He had also cultivated the Furious Dragon Art to the 2nd level. It could be said that Lin Xian's strength had undergone a tremendous change. Now, he did not need to use an earth-rank martial skill to easily kill an early-stage 9th-level supremacy. A mid-stage 9th-level supremacy was not his match, and he could even contend with a late-stage 9th-level supremacy now. In addition, he had the Starry Sky armor and the Red Lotus armor. The combination of the 2 could definitely offset 80% of any attack. At that time, even a late-stage 9th-level supremacy would not be his match. This time, he had taken another big step towards the King Realm. "Young Master, you've broken through!" The 9th Elder and the others were very excited. They could feel a sense of fear from Lin Xian. Knowing the situation, the 9th Elder and the 10th Elder gasped. How long had it been? The young Master's strength had already surpassed them. This was something they did not dare to imagine. This was not completely the effect of resources. Even if the core disciples of the House of Kings were given such resources, they would not be able to improve to this extent in a short month. Talent, this was definitely talent. Lin Xian's heaven-defying cultivation talent was something that the ninth elder and the others had rarely seen in their lives. Perhaps even the kings of the Tianwu continent could not reach this level when they were young. This talent is really too powerful, the ninth elder praised. The 10th elder also nodded in satisfaction. Yes, whether it is temperament, talent, or perseverance, they are all top-notch. I'm afraid there are very few people in the continent who can be compared to the young master. What Prince Ling Feng? What Tianwu's four young masters? They're just older. If they were the same age as the young master, I'm afraid they would not be the young master's match. The ninth elder coldly snorted. After hearing this, Lin Xian smiled slightly. He did not care about the title of Tianwu's four young masters at all. This was because his eyes had already moved away from the same generation. His targets were the older generation figures, the kings who stood at the peak. Only those people could arouse his battle intent. However, there was one thing that he had to do. How is the Duan clan recently? At this time, it was time for Yufei to stand up. Reporting to Brother Xian, the Duan clan is already in a terrible state. Many of their core elders were killed. Moreover, half a month ago, a half-step king gathered the heads of 3 core elders and exchanged them for a longevity pill. Oh, somewhat exchanged for it. Was it that half-step king from the auction? Yes, it was him. Is there any other news? Lin Xian asked again. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.